All right. Just line it down. Okay. Good evening and welcome to the February 6th open session meeting of the Unified School District. We are going to start with our roll call. Trustee Alvarado. Present. Trustee Vargas.
Present.
Trustee Markov.
Here.
Trustee Martin.
Here.
And I am Trustee Morocco and I'm here. And now we will do the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand. Put your right hand over the heart. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands, nation. Thank you. And now I will read the land acknowledgement. We acknowledge the Payum Huichum, the people of the West, as the traditional land caretakers of the land on which Vista Unified School District was built and its surrounding traditional cultural landscapes. Today, the Payum Huichum, are known as Lucenio and are made up of 7 bands: La Jolla, Pala, Palma, Pachanga, Rincon, San Luis Rey, and Sobova. We, Vista Unified School District, are mindful of the indigenous peoples in this place, and we pay our respects to the Lucenio, past, present, and future. We are grateful to have the opportunity to be part of this community in Lucenio territory and to honor their history, culture, and perseverance of spirit. Thank you. So we have a couple changes to the agenda.
9F.
We need to pull agenda items 9F, G, and H. Is there any other changes that anybody wants from the agenda? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda with the revision of those items that I named.
I move to approve the agenda with the revision.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, moved by Trustee Markov, seconded by Trustee Martin. Okay, there's nothing to report. That was taken in closed session. I guess we're supposed to do that before we approve the agenda, but there's nothing to report out. And my computer, okay, so my computer's not working. Let's see. There we go, okay. All right.
President Morocco,
Yes,
can you please call for the vote for the agenda, like all in favor?
sorry. I'm sorry. Okay, all in favor of approving the agenda as amended, please say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Any abstentions? Thank you. Motion carries. I apologize for that. Thank you. Okay, now we are going to go to public comments. We have quite a few poll cards. So I'm going to limit it to a minute. If we go over, I'm gonna allow a half hour for these. If we go over, we have a space at the end of the meeting that you could do it. If you don't get to finish your comments, feel blessed with them. Okay, and with that, I will call the first is Margarito Paz. Followed by Cesar Mendez, sorry.
No relation. The brothers.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Margarito Paz. I coach Vista Pop Warner here for the last 8 years, but I don't want to focus on me. I want to focus on Coach Vika. And so I'm not just here as a coach, but I'm also here as a parent who he's made a significant impact on for both of my sons. And not only that, I've witnessed firsthand in the last few years the impact that he's had on the entire community as well. Coach Vika is more than just a football coach. He's a mentor, he's a leader, and he's a builder of tradition. He's not only revitalized Vista High School's football culture, but has extended his influence far beyond that field. This past season, he took time to meet with my youngest 7-year-old son and his Pop Warner team, inspiring the next generation of Vistans. He's hosted numerous camps and mentored many student athletes, to reestablish the pride and the legacy that once defined Big Red football. His dedication is evident in the students that he has helped excel not just in football, but in life. Many of them here now have opportunities in college because of his guidance. Even middle school students like my oldest son and many of his friends are eager to one day wear the Vista jersey because of the program that Coach Vika is rebuilding. After a few years of uncertainty surrounding the Vista High School program, Coach Vika has given us hope again. He's not just coaching a team, he's shaping young men into future leaders and reinforcing what it truly means to have pride in Vista. His work is far from finished, but I truly believe that he has earned more time to continue this mission he set out on. Let's not cut short a movement that is already making a difference. Let's allow Coach Vika to continue setting the standard for what it means to be a Vistan. Thank you.
Cynthia Mendez, followed by Aiden Evans.
Now my son, hold my. Esteemed members, thank you for the time. I am Cesar Mendez, former alumni, father. And involved parents. There was smoke rising from the campus of VHS. And where there's smoke, there's fire. I say to you that this recent dismissal of Coach Vika is that fire. I ask that this fire be investigated immediately to find the root cause or causes and to hold those responsible accountable. I challenge this board to conduct a full and transparent investigation. Wrongs can be rectified. Dismissed personnel can be reinstated. And it's okay to admit that you made a mistake. Lastly, listen to your constituents and your future constituents. For they are whom you represent. And they are watching and listening. Thank you and God bless.
Aiden Evans, followed by Anthony Juarez.
Members of the board, I stand before you to vouch for a man of integrity, dedication, and honor, Coach Vika. In a sport that demands discipline, resilience, and leadership, he has exemplified all of these qualities, but not just in words, but in his actions. Coach Vika has shaped us into athletes, but more importantly, into men of character. He leads with fairness, teaches with passion, and holds us to the highest standards, both on and off the field. His commitment to this team goes beyond wins and losses. He invests in our growth as individuals, pushing us to be our best in every aspect in our life. Win or lose, he has always showed up with the same attitude, never losing faith in us. And we lost a lot. But that is a mark of a true leader to me. And I could say with full confidence that Coach Vika is a man of honor, and we were all better for having him as our coach. I've gone out of my way to come up here and deliver this message because I will not sit back and watch Coach Vika get punished for caring about us. And there's a whole community of people that feel the same. Thank you very much for your time.
Anthony Juarez, followed by Ken Schaefer.
Good afternoon, members of the board. I stand before you today as both a colleague of Coach Vika and a dedicated member of the school district to express my deep concern over the recent decision about our football coach. Having the privilege of coaching alongside him, I witnessed firsthand the significant impact that he's had on our students, not only on the football field, but also in the classroom. Vika's a coach, mentor, and a role model. His dedication to the academic success of his players, along with their athletic development, has inspired many students to reach their full potential. He instilled in them the values of discipline, teamwork, and perseverance, traits that extend far beyond the sport itself. In my time coaching with Vika, I've seen how he's consistently goes above and beyond to support his players, offering guidance, encouragement, and a sense of accountability that shapes them into better students and individuals. His commitment to the well-being and success of his players is unwavering, and his positive influence reaches far beyond the football field. As a member of the school district, I feel it is important for the community to understand the rationale behind his dismissal of Vika, given his outstanding contributions to the school. I respectfully ask the board to review this decision with a focus on the long-term impact that it will have not only on the athletic program, but on the students who have thrived under his leadership. I also want to take a moment to highlight the message this decision sends to both the current and future educators and coaches. We must ask ourselves, are we making the decisions that reflect the values of this community, that truly support our students' growth, and that recognize the importance of mentorships? Thank you for your time and consideration. I ask the board carefully reflect on this matter, and I look forward to a thoughtful and transparent discussion. Thank you.
Followed by Brian Walker.
Thank you to members of the board for giving me the opportunity to speak. I am not a parent, I'm not a coach. I'm just a big supporter of the team, and I've been a booster for many years. I've been to every game except 2, home and away, since 1994 season. I've seen all 7 coaches Vista has had. And David Tuesi, as we call Coach Vika, is one of the best. He came in May 2023. There was a delay between him and the last coach. I don't know why, but that's the wrong timing to put in a coach, because he was, a lot of balls to juggle, schedule, plays, learning the team. And we won 1 game, but I could see sparks. And this year it was better, got to the playoffs, more sparks. And he had big plans. He was building support. He was hiring other ex-players. He's an ex-player at Vista. And I can see in his eyes and his actions how he cared for the community. He cared for the boys, not just about football, their lives. And I just like to ask the board to reconsider this action. And just learned about it last week. I didn't know I'd be speaking tonight. Sorry. But he's a great coach. I just hope we can keep him. Thank you.
Followed by Feliciano Rojas.
Good evening, board. I came in this past summer, being retransferred back to California. My children moved around their entire lives. My son has been put through, you would not believe how many different coaches. He was brought here. Coach Vika brought him in as part of a family. Brought him in and said, we're gonna get you, we're gonna teach you. Not only did he do that, he assists in my daughter's education on a 504 plan. He brings them in and he teaches them, as I look up there and I see your values of respect. He respects the players, he respects the teachers, he respects the parents. And he makes sure that they know to respect themselves. And he reminds them that they're here as students first. Which I can tell you, where I grew up, student was not the part of athlete. It was athlete and student was second. He makes sure that these students know they're student athletes, student first. I would ask you to agree with Cesar Mendez and y'all investigating this transparently and letting us know to try to bring back Coach Vika. Thank you.
Followed by Preston Schreiber.
Good evening, everyone. I just wanted to say, I've never met a coach dedicated as Coach Vika. He showed us football is more than a game. It relates out to life. Sorry.
Well, at least you're good.
Coach Vika was always there for us. In the classroom, on the field. He made sure we had food. He made sure to be there for practice for us. He never missed any game. He was our coach, but for me, he was like a father. I never had a father, but Vika was a father to me. I just want to say, please rethink your decision. and make sure Mika goes back to football. Please and thank you.
Followed by Preston Carrasco.
Hi, board members. My name is Press Driver. I'm a junior at Vista. I'm speaking on the regard of our head coach getting let go and how I believe it's unfair for us and our community. I've been at Vista since my freshman year and have devoted my time to playing football here. Coach Vika brought back Big Red football and taught us how to succeed not only on the field, but off the field. Coach Vika has been here for me since he first started coaching at Vista and not only helped me become a better person, but a better football player as well. I'm thankful to call him my coach. These past couple days have been hard for us as a team and a community. It's been hard for us as all to deal with all this adversity past couple years. And we really hope that the admin can reevaluate the decision and bring back Coach Vika. Thank you.
Preston Carrasco, followed by John Hayes.
Hello, my name is Preston Carrasco. I'm a senior athlete out of Vista High School. I'm speaking on behalf of Coach Vika. I've been part of this program for the past 4 years, and me and my boys have endured hardships. And even as hard as they were to get past, we were still able to, through the guidance of Coach Vika, in just 2 seasons. Which we also ended up making the playoffs the first time in 5 years, which I don't think any other coach you'd hire could do in the foreseeable future. Coach has shown a lot of us, including me, that Big Red football isn't something that you forget. It's something that sticks with you and is embedded in your bliss of the rest regardless. And the last thing I want to say on behalf of the community, my teammates, and including me, we will not watch this program fall right as we were getting back to the glory it once had. Thank you.
Followed by Daryl Connie.
Hello, board members and Superintendent Doyle. My name is Sean Hayes and I'm an educator and coach. I'm someone who's from this community and I support the growth in this community. When Vika was hired in April 2023, he inherited a program in disarray. He was the second youngest coach in San Diego County, and he inherited something that was broken. And what he did over the last 2 years is fix something. You all have been in this community for probably your whole lives. Vista football is as connected to this as it is connected to anything else. We have put people in college. He's someone who shows what Vista High School can do. We've seen the test scores. We've seen how things have gone downhill. There's fears of losing accreditation, but people like Vika are people that are here to fix this. He's here for the community. He's making kids cry because he cares so much. He's making adults cry. And to make something happen like this, we understand that coaching is an adjunct position and is at will, and you don't have to say anything. But when was the last time you had this many young people at a board meeting? I couldn't tell you. I've been a teacher for 7 years and I've been to countless board meetings. I've never seen this many kids. You guys gave out golden apples today. Coach Vika's our golden apple. Everything in your values and mission statement is all about respect and integrity and caring for the community. This school has, in the last 10 years, I've had 5 principals, because what happens is, oh, you were a principal at Vista, you can go be principal somewhere, you can be here now because you can handle Vista. Vika was here to fix things, not to get his next job, not to make it so that he's getting to his next future endeavor. He was here for the kids. When kids are hungry, he spent his own money. He's an intern teacher. He's an education specialist. He's not making 6 figures like some of these 20-year teachers. He's spending his own money, living in a 2-bedroom apartment, moved here from Colorado with his wife so that he could be here for this. He got offered other head coaching jobs.
Thank you. You can finish your comments and some of
Yes, ma'am. Well, thank you for your time.
Daryl Connie, I said that right.
It's Connie.
Daryl Connie, followed by Alex Javier Gutierrez.
Are we ready? You ready to talk? Excellent. Now, I take on a different role here because I'm actually, I was over at the other high school over at RBV. But I happen to know, I've known Coach Vika since he was about 10 years old. My son was in his wedding, Coach Hayes, known the dude forever. When I found out he was released, I was a little bit confused because when he was retained I thought to myself, he wasn't on the radar. But I thought to myself, wow, they just brought in the perfect person. The perfect person to bring Vista out of the quagmire that they were in, from all the other thing, from the incident, as we will call it. And then they bring in this young guy. He's going to be there for 10 years, at least. He's going to start a family there. He's from this area. And again, my thought was, God, what a perfect hire. And then when I found out 2 days ago that hire has been reversed, I felt compelled to come out and visit with you guys, because I don't know what the circumstances were associated with it. But I struggle when I see all these dudes here, all these guys that played for him. I didn't play for him. He never played for me. I'm a Rancho guy. Not that I dislike the guys from Vista. You guys are okay with me. But I coached a lot of these guys in Pop Warner, and I just finished up my 39th year of coaching. And when I met Vika, it's like, holy cow, this dude is going to be great. He's perfect. He's dynamic. He's charismatic. There has to be a way that whatever the administration is and whatever the differences are, I negotiate $10 million contracts for a living. There has to be a way that people can sit down and find a common ground. I just find it perplexing that when you make a hire that good, that you're going to reverse that decision 2 years later. It's mind-boggling. Anyways, thank you guys for your time, your energy, and your consideration. But in my opinion, give the dude a chance.
Thank you. Alex Javier Gutierrez, followed by Brenton Walker.
Hello, I'm a student at Maricosta and Vista alumni. Thank you for your time. As of right now, I'm here to speak, for myself and Vika and for the community of Vista. He is what brought back Vista football. As for me, I've seen both sides of Vista football, as one as a Rancho Longhorn and then as one as a Vista Panther. And to see him bring back Vista not only to playoff contenders after my time there, but to also bring back the city district championship and the trophy back to Vista shows that he can do a lot for not only the program, but for the community and school. And to see him be let go like that it's just disheartening to my heart. Because even while I not only play for myself, but also for all the work that he's done for me at Maricosta is just hurts. It just hurts to see him be let go like that. He only built me to what I am today. Sorry. As a kid raised in the Vista slums, he parents were worse and whatnot. Vika's what helped build me, and to see him be let go like that, it just hurts. Thank you for your time.
Hello, board members. I'm a junior at Vista High School. I transferred over here from the because my dad is military. And when I first got, I didn't know what was gonna happen with the football program. I didn't know anything. All I knew is that I wanted to play. And when I first met Coach Vika, he welcomed me with open arms. He told me that Vista is a big family, and letting him go is letting go a big part of that family. We're brothers on that field and off the field. And Coach Vika made sure of that. He made sure that we were taken care of, make sure that our education was getting good. We were having a good education. Coach Vika is the big part of why all of us want to play football at Vista. And letting him go is one of the biggest mistakes I've ever seen as a football player. Coach Vika is the reason that most of us are still at Vista and people are coming to Vista. When I got injured halfway through the season, I missed a week. As soon as I got injured, Coach Vika was checking up on me. He was making sure I was good. I went to that game that Friday, and Coach Vika was talking with me, make sure I was okay, asking how my doctor appointment went. Throughout the rest of the week, he made sure that I was okay as a player and willing to come back. Coach Vika is the reason I want to play football for Vista. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
That was our last speaker. We will move on to, related organizations. First, our Vista Teachers Association, Carrie Avila.
Good evening, Board of Education, Superintendent, and community. On behalf of the Vista Teachers, congratulations to this year's Golden Apple Award winners. Your dedication inspire both colleagues and students alike. I promised that he would listen to this on his way home or later. A special acknowledgement goes to Todd Kirchlow, past union president, whose unwavering dedication and vision has had a long-lasting impact. Todd exemplifies what it means to be an educator and a leader for his behalf and others, including myself. He has strengthened our profession and community. VTA is proud to honor not only all Apple Award recipients tonight, but especially Todd Kirchlow for his inspirational leadership within the USD and VTA. As educators, we are all leaders in Vista, and VTA remains committed to advocating for our SPED students and SPED educators. Our goal is to make Vista Unified a model of excellence in North County, ensuring that the needs of our most vulnerable students are prioritized. Additionally, the VTA stands firmly in support of our students who feel uncertain or afraid due to the challenges unfolding on our national stage. We will continue to work collaboratively with VUSD to put our students and families first, ensuring that every child feels safe, valued, and supported. And being a past football mom and knowing some of these coaches, what you're seeing tonight is something special, you know, to have so many people from the community come out and speak to somebody, and you're hearing from the students' mouths, right? So we always say we want to put students first. So I hope you listen to our community.
CSEA, Marcelo Ramos.
Good evening. All right, good evening, board members, superintendent, student board members. I just wanted to first start with congratulating all the recipients of the Golden Apple Award. Our report is mostly just to inform you of what's happening with CSEA. The first one is just discussing the transition, the Vita staff moving to a new site coming next school year. Our members have requested to meet, to have meetings specifically only for classified staff to be informed about what is the transition plan. This is definitely something that we've communicated with the district and are more than happy to assist us and meeting with members, not individually, excuse me, but if needed, of course, but with them only. And that's because sometimes it's difficult when communication is done with the whole staff, including certificated staff, because they are not available at the time that these meetings happen, and then it's left to being optional. And so they miss out on the important information that's going to impact them as they prepare to make the transition. So just wanted to keep you all in the loop about that. So moving forward, we'll be having meetings scheduled very soon. Another thing that we're working on is we have a scheduled meeting for an LCAP forum every year. The district does scheduled a forum specifically for classified employees. This is not to say that that's the only option that they have to provide feedback or get information from the district. They're welcome to attend all the other community forums that are already scheduled on the calendar. But we appreciate that the district goes out of the way to specifically do one for classified employees or CSEA members. And I do want to wrap up this report by adding my personal comment regarding Coach Vika. I was able to be at a meeting as an interpreter for one of his students who had an IEP. I will say that as an interpreter, people forget what our role is, and it's very difficult when people don't understand what our role is. And I just want to acknowledge him because it's about the respect. He acknowledged me as an interpreter, but really asking in feedback. What can I do to make sure this meeting is run efficiently and the parent is understanding what's being said? We love that. Why? Because it's collaboration. we're there to be a voice for Spanish speaking community. But it takes a whole village, the whole team to work with the interpreter. And that means, for example, even what I'm doing now, I need to speak slower because there's an interpreting right now. And therefore, I really appreciated him taking the time. So I just wanted to give my 2 cents, my personal experience working with him as a teacher at Vista High School. So thank you so much.
Now we're gonna have our DLAC report by Ms. Ana Cruz. Sí, President Ana Cruz.
Hola, buenas tardes, estimados miembros de la empuje. Hola, buenas tardes, estimados miembros de la mesa directiva. DILAC realizó una junta oficial el lunes 27 de enero y se cumplió con un quórum de 16 escuelas de las 22 representadas. Cumplimos la tarea número 3, que es establecimiento de programa, metas y objetivos del distrito para programas y servicios para estudiantes de inglés, con presentaciones por parte de Steve Post y el doctor Eric Chegueila. Steve Post compartió los datos de LPAC y la reclasificación del año pasado y presentará datos adicionales en las próximas 2 reuniones de DILAC. El doctor Eric Chegueila presentó información sobre el plan de aprendizaje personal de Vista y brindó una oportunidad para que los padres brindaran comentarios. En base a estas 2 presentaciones, los representantes de DILAC recomiendan brindar, punto número 1, una presentación de datos adicionales con un desglose de los puntajes de LPAC por escuela y nivel de grado, y un enfoque en las áreas en las que los estudiantes tienen dificultades para poder brindar apoyo adicional a los estudiantes. Como punto número 2, talleres adicionales para educar a los padres sobre el plan de aprendizaje personal en todos los niveles, primaria, secundaria y preparatoria.
Good evening, esteemed members of the board. DLAC conducted an official meeting on Monday, January 27th. Quorum was met with 16 out of the 22 schools present. We completed task number 3, the establishment of district program goals and objectives for programs and services English language learners, with presentations by Steve Post and Dr. Eric Chegueila. Steve Post shared ELAC and reclassification data from last year. He will be presenting again additional data at the next 2 DLAC meetings. Dr. Chegueila presented information regarding Vista's personal learning plan and provided an opportunity for parents to give feedback. Based on these 2 presentations, DLAC representatives recommend providing number 1, an additional data presentation with a breakdown of LPAC scores by school and grade level, and a focus on areas where students struggle to provide extra support to students. And point number 2, additional workshops to educate parents on the personal learning plan and A through G at all levels, elementary, middle, and high school.
En otro punto, me gustaría respetuosamente pedir a la Junta. Perdón. En otro punto, me gustaría respetuosamente pedir a la Junta Escolar que quede la grabación completa interpretada en el sitio web del Distrito Escolar, ya que al revisar nuevamente la grabación, solo existe 1 hora de grabación de la Junta Escolar. Y al mismo tiempo pedir que cuando se dé información sobre los aprendientes de inglés, se haga la interpretación correspondiente. Y como punto final, la próxima junta oficial de DILAC se llevará a cabo el lunes 24 de febrero a las 6 de la tarde en el Centro de Innovación de Vista, por sus siglas en inglés.
In another note, I would like to respectfully ask the board that the entire board meeting be interpreted and posted on the website, since when I go back to review the recording, there only exists 1 hour of recording available of the meeting. At the same time, I'd like to ask that when you give out information about our English language learners, you also have the available Spanish interpretation available at all the events. And for a final note, the next official DLAC meeting will be on Monday, February 24th at 6 p.m. at the Vista Innovation Center for the event. Thank you.
So our mission Vista, Allison, Gaddis, is it Gaddis?
Yeah.
Gaddis. Okay, Allison. And we have Principal Jeremy.
Come on up. You can come around this way.
Maybe that one. Good evening, trustees, student board members. It's my privilege and honor to be here this evening to introduce the student board member from Mission Vista High School in Allison Gaddis. She actually approached me about being the student board rep 2 years ago as a sophomore. But she is just a model student. She's an incredible leader on campus. What strikes out to me or sticks out to me most is just her humility, her kindness, and her genuine desire to make Mission Vista a better place. So very proud to present you, Allison Gaddis.
Good evening, trustees, student board members, superintendent, and audience members. My name is Allison Gaddis, and I'm honored to represent Mission Vista High School. I'm thrilled to share my report with you tonight, showcasing all the wonderful and exciting happenings at Mission Vista. I'll begin with academics. I'm pleased to report that Mission Vista students continue to excel academically, with over 700 students maintaining a 4.0 GPA, a remarkable testament to their dedication and the unwavering support of our teachers. This achievement also reflects the tireless efforts of Mission Vista's counseling team, who work diligently with students in grades 9 through 11 to help them develop a post-secondary identity early, building and ensuring they have a strong foundation for their futures. To further support student success, we've established the Guiding Coalition, a multi-stakeholder group committed to identifying and eliminating barriers that may hinder students' aspirations. The impact of these efforts is evident in Mission Vista's rising A through G completion rates, which has increased from 75% to 81% for the graduating class. This is a significant milestone that opens more doors for our students. Whether a student aspires to attend a UC school, a private institution, a trade program, or enter the workforce directly, this increase in A through G completion reflects the well-rounded, academically diverse education Mission Vista provides. More than just a benchmark for college eligibility, this achievement ensures that students graduate with the knowledge, adaptability, and critical thinking skills essential for life. Additionally, our Pathways programs have been instrumental in helping students select courses that align with their passions and career goals, offering personalized academic guidance to support their future endeavors. Mission Vista's Career and Technical Education, or CTE programs, continue to expand, equipping students with hands-on experience and industry-relevant skills in computer science, TV film production, photography, patient care, graphic design, stage technology, and many more. As these programs grow in popularity, they provide students with practical, career-aligned learning experiences that enhance their future opportunities, whether they pursue higher education or enter the workforce immediately. Now, on to performing arts. The performing arts have had an incredible year with a series of sold-out performances. Rock the Hill drew a packed audience, demonstrating our students' musical talents. Our steel drum ensemble played to another sellout crowd, further showcasing their musical excellence. Choir also performed to a full house, highlighting their dedication and hard work. Our fall play, The Diviners, received outstanding reviews, and we eagerly anticipate the announcement of the spring play, which will run for 2 weeks in April. Our dance program has been thriving as well, with the Iron Wolf Showcase taking place last Friday and Dancing with the Timberwolves scheduled for May 9th. Ballet Folklorical, one of our most celebrated programs, will present a community performance in the first week of March. We are also looking forward to the Arts Under the Stars event, which will feature performances from multiple programs across campus. Additionally, the Mission Vista Athletics Department continues to thrive, with over 40% of the student body proudly representing our school as rostered athletes. This year, we were thrilled to introduce a swim team, further expanding opportunities for students to compete, developing their skills, and foster a strong sense of teamwork and school. Athletes demonstrate both on and off the field. With their hard work and commitment, bring home league championships before the school year ends. Now for school student engagement. Our school spirit is strong by energetic pep rallies full of fun games and music that energize the student body, an unforgettable Wizard of Oz homecoming, and a spectacular winter formal with a Roaring Twenties theme, all of which were extremely successful. With prom on the horizon, excitement is building, and preparations are well underway to ensure a memorable celebration. Along with ASB, Link Crew leaders have done an amazing job this year spreading school spirit throughout the campus. Currently, they are preparing Valentine's Day grams. We also have over 70 active clubs on campus, which continues to help our school culture rise. Beyond school events, this year has marked a significant milestone with the revival of our Student Senate group. This initiative has empowered students by giving them a voice in key school decisions, ensuring that their perspectives are heard and their concerns addressed. Through this platform, we continue to foster a school culture where every student feels valued and represented. As a member of leadership myself, I can proudly report that we had informative discussions on school culture as a whole and how to improve the day-to-day life of a Mission Vista Timberwolf, the ethics and limitations of policies to tackle tardies, ways to address any potential inequities with the dress code, and we've recently delved into grading systems. For the past 4 years, I've proudly called myself a Timberwolf. As I sat down to prepare this report, I took a moment to reflect on what makes Mission Vista so special. The answer came to me almost instantly. It's not just the programs, the opportunities, or the achievements, it's the people. Before I end my report, I want to take a moment and acknowledge the incredible administration, teachers, and staff who make our school the welcoming, dynamic, and supportive environment that it is. While I can only mention a few, they are not exceptions. They are the standard, embodying the kindness, dedication, and spirit that define Mission Vista. At the top is Principal Walden, one of the most approachable, caring, and responsive school leaders I've ever met, always putting students first. In the classroom is Mr. Otteson, my sophomore year calculus teacher, who made even the most challenging math concepts engaging. His signature bow tie and warm demeanor transformed calculus into something enjoyable rather than intimidating. Finally, there is Mrs. Raquel Rivera, the counseling secretary. As the gatekeeper to the counselors, she provides students with warmth, efficiency, and unwavering support. Whether answering questions, managing last-minute requests, or offering reassurance, she ensures every student feels heard, especially during high-stress times like college application season. These individuals, along with countless others, exemplify the heart of Mission Vista. They are the reason why our school is not just a place of learning, but a community. As I conclude my report, I would like to leave you with a quote from Nelson Mandela, who once said, "Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world." I would like to offer one slight modification. Education is the most powerful tool a person can use to change their own life. Mission Vista High School and the Vista Unified School District have given us that tool, one that opens doors, shapes futures, and empowers us to reach our full potential. For that, I am truly grateful. Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna move on to discussion action items. So first is to ratify purchase orders. So does anybody have anything they wanted to say? Well, so I will entertain a motion to approve
Rachel,
the purchase orders.
can we close the doors?
We're gonna give everybody a second.
Yeah, we're trying to close the door.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I was debating about taking a break, but I wanted to give it to an hour. I don't know if we have any RVB students here that need a. I don't think so either. All right. So I'm going to ask for a motion to approve the purchase orders and then we can have discussion.
I move to approve the purchase orders.
Thank you, trustee Markov. Moved by trustee Markov. I need a second. I'll second it. So moved by trustee Markov, seconded by trustee Morocco. All right, is there any questions, anything that anybody wants to discuss? Seeing none, I will call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. next is to approve Project Vista Magnet Middle School Portable Classroom Replacement. So, do we have any questions? Let's start off with,
I have comments.
okay, so, why don't we get a motion and then we can do comments?
Is there a presentation?
Is there a presentation?
There's no specific presentation in terms of a PowerPoint. All of the project documents are attached, including site map, proposed budgets and other items from our experts.
Great, thank you. So I will entertain the motion to approve item, oh, that lost my place.
I move to approve 9B.
Okay, moved by trustee Alvarado.
I'll second.
Seconded by trustee Markov. Okay, any, questions?
Discussion.
Okay, discussion, trustee Martin.
So first of all, I'm curious as to how this portable has moved to the top of the list of all portables within the district.
Yes, absolutely. So this particular portable was constructed in the late sixties and was reported to have several issues. And when being evaluated, it was discovered that the portable would need extensive either reconstructive or renovation. And an analysis was done on that reconstruction and renovation, and it was deemed that it would be more cost effective to replace the entire unit. In short, this portable was deemed no longer habitable.
And what is the portable being used for?
Portable has had previously had a classroom associated with it in the classroom.
6 through 8.
Yeah, middle school students, 6th grade.
Okay, so my point of contention with this is that Rancho Buena Vista lost 24 portables that were on a concrete slab in good condition to build the CTE building.
Point of order, we're not talking about Rancho Buena Vista.
I'm
This
making
is about Vista Magnet Middle School.
I'm making a point.
Yeah, she's making a point.
about
She has a
port-
question.
They have been promised and waiting for portables. We have 5 teachers, core teachers that are now without classrooms that are circulating, rotating every period. We have sped teachers, all of mild mod sped teachers have no classrooms and are rotating. They have no special ed office. It has been transformed into classrooms. The IEP testing is happening in a storage closet. So how could the Vista Magnet portable take precedence over all of this that's happening at Rancho?
So I think there's 2 questions on the floor. First of all, is about, or there's several questions on the floor. The first is, what happened to the portable classrooms that were on a concrete slab? And those classrooms were not deemed to be movable and were deemed to be classrooms to be deconstructed. Next, when you talk about the needs of a district this size and you talk about needs that have been presented publicly of over $1.3 billion without having additional bonds or other supplemental funds, difficult decisions will have to be made by the board in terms of approving which projects we may have limited funding to go after. In this case, this is an existing classroom in use, and it was deemed that the classroom was non-functional. That was and needed to be either fully reconstructed from scratch or replaced. And looking at the site and the plans, that would make this site at high risk for any other issues that may occur on the site to not being hold classes at all. Now, in previous cycles, what we've seen at Vista Magnet Middle School is multiple water leaks and multiple wings and entire wings that needed to be shut down and other items, and all available spaces required multiple rotations in order to accommodate. So this was considered a tipping point issue for this one portable, and that's why it was brought forward for recommendation.
And is it not possible for Vista Magnet to also do a rotation so that we don't put out $300,000 for one portable when there's so many needs around the district?
I can certainly investigate that further if that is the pleasure of the board to see if they can continue additional rotations. But the classroom is not occupiable, and it is one of many on that campus that is built in the late 60s, which are some of the oldest portables that we have in the entire district.
Yes, I'd like you to check into that, please. That's mine.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments?
Yeah, with that being said, Dr. Busher, can you provide a list of all portables in the classroom, their age, so that we can have a full understanding of the need for the school district?
Yes, sir. I'd be happy to compile a list of all of those things specific for the board, but all of those items are listed right now online on the school district as part of the long-range facility master plan with every single portable listed.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Yeas, 1 nay, and no abstentions. Thank you. Moving on. 9D. No, sorry, 9C. Approve resolution number 2520 to piggyback on the Hesperia Unified School District contract awarded Silver Creek Industries. Is there a presentation on this?
No, Madam President, this is simply a piggyback contract that allows for us to secure a portable for this particular project. This is existing other and the preferred means of procurement.
Okay, thank you. I will entertain a motion to approve item 9C.
I move to approve 9C.
Moved by trustee Alvarado. Is there a second?
I second.
Seconded by trustee Markov. Any questions? Discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Abstain.
1 abstention. Motion carries with 4 ayes and 1 abstention. Thank you. Next is 9D, approve Alpha Studios architecture contract. Is there, we can entertain a motion and then we can have discussion. Anybody, can I get a motion to approve item 9D?
I motion to approve 90.
Okay, moved by trustee Markov. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by trustee Alvarado. Any questions? Any comments? Discussion? Okay, and this one, I just wanna, say this is for architecture services for the, property on Foothill. Is that correct?
That's correct. And it's a 18-month overarching contract. It's a not to exceed amount. It's not a precise amount.
Okay, I do have a question. Are we going to be using, is part of that to, any plans to design a new theater?
So all of that is part of the discussion. I believe we're going to hear directly from the principal about programs, and they plan on continuing dance and theater and a variety of other programs that move across. This would be the architect that would be working on all of those things. But as stated in an earlier discussion, we use design thinking and a collaborative process, and we need the architect to be engaged in that, and that would be one of the many items.
Okay, all right, thank you. So any further, anybody else have questions? Okay, seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Moving on. The and 9E, which is the annual Vista Better Together survey. Do we have
We do.
Okay,
We do.
perfect.
Just give him a moment. He's not local, so he's jumping on.
Okay.
Dr. Dale, are you able to hear us? We're just checking your audio.
Yes. Good evening, trustees. Good evening, Dr. Doyle.
We can hear you just fine. I'll hand it back to our president.
Thank you. Hi, Dr. Daly.
Hi, lovely to see you. Happy New Year. If the statute of limitations are still valid for that.
Okay, so do you have a presentation or are we, I think we're just going over.
Just
Perfect. Anybody have any questions or comments?
I do.
Okay, trustee Martin.
In looking at the scope of services, I was concerned that the survey questions did not survey the district leadership or site leadership from the certificated teachers and the classified employees. Can you add that, please?
Sure. Just a couple things about the survey instrument itself. We're continuing what we measured last year, which is a dramatic change from previous years that we've been measuring. And so we took direction from the district to narrow and hone the set of items related to your values and mission and vision, et cetera. And if we add additional items, which you certainly can do, it just might change the comparability from year to year. So that's a caution.
I understand, but climate in this district is very important, and I believe that that needs to be measured.
Yeah. So did, Dr. Doyle, maybe I'll turn to you. Were there certain items in particular that the board and the district were thinking about?
Well, this is the first I've heard of it, but Alan can come up with some appropriate questions. As long as it's not evaluative. The only thing is we have to be careful that it's not evaluative, but I think he has expertise in that area. What he could do is bring back to all of you some thoughts. You can give some feedback and then we can arrive at an appropriate addition.
That would be great.
I have on the amount of questions that are on it, and we had a low turnout for CSEA. And part of the discussion was that perhaps it was too taxing or it was too, I'm not quite sure, but the turnout was the amount of CSEA employees, even when offered compensation to do it, as I understand, was very low.
Yeah.
So
Oh, I'm sorry. Continue.
go ahead, Dr. Daly.
I was going to say that's absolutely the case. This is one of the tension areas that we had when we add. It's a significantly long survey now. So this is one of the tension areas. So I think when I come back to you, I'll be really mindful of that. I think it requires, continued work on the district's part in collaboration with us to make sure we get good response rates. One thing I do want to note is that as you could see by the arrangement, we have a pretty tight data collection timeline. So we may have to adjust that data collection timeline if we're going to, get some feedback on new items.
Thank you. Anybody else? Questions, comments? I have one. I was looking over the last survey that we did, and then we got a copy of the survey before that. For my purposes and the information that would have been provided, the first survey, which I think was that 2018 that they did that? 17, that seemed to be much more valuable for my purposes. I found that to be, the questions that were on that seemed to be much more informative. The last survey, I think when you presented it, I think I had some issues that I brought up, which were questions such as, I feel like I'm a good person, I feel like this, and to me, that's touchy-feely and it's great, but it doesn't really tell me a lot about information that I need to know when making informed decisions. So that was what I was thinking, and I don't know if anybody else has any other input, on the two surveys. But I definitely felt that the previous survey was much more valuable for my needs. Does anybody else say that?
I just think we need further discussion on it. I mean, folks have different perspectives on it, and I think it requires further discussion.
What I would offer for the board, we've done this in the past, Dr. Daly can bring back the current survey. We can have a copy of the previous survey, and we can have a couple samples of your request, and then we can just workshop that through in the next board meeting. I think we can do it. Alan, jump in. You and I have done this before with them. In about 30 minutes, I think we can get enough feedback to get this process started. And in the meantime, we'll make sure you have all of them to review.
How does that sound, everybody? Consensus?
That worked for me.
Good.
Yeah, no, sounds good for me. My only commentary is definitely a good assessment and looking at this data since we've done it for many years. And so from a comparative perspective, you're one of the few districts that has this kind of data. And so for us, as governing board members, I think it's helpful to make sure we get it right. Yeah, happy to have a further conversation on this.
And so one last thing for the board to be aware of, the item that's on the floor today is just an approval of his contract. You're not approving the agenda, the survey tonight. So in order for me to move forward with Dr. Daly, I would need an approval of the contract. Just want to be clear.
All right, any further comments, questions? Seeing none, I'll call for a motion to approve Dr. Daly's contract.
I move to approve 9E.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, so moved by trustee Alvarado, seconded by trustee Markov. Any further comments, questions, discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you all. Have a nice evening.
Don't
Thank
feel like
you,
you have
you
to stay
too.
on. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
And I'm wondering if Do we still want to take a break or? We're good, we can keep on. Anybody feel the need for a break or can we continue?
On here.
It's fine.
I'll try and make it.
Okay, but did you want to break? You want a break? Okay, we have a student board member, a couple student board members that would like a break, so we'll take a 10-minute break right now. All right, thanks. Need to log on again.
You are live.
Okay, give it a second. Okay, all right. Meaning I need to get okay, now to approve we are not gonna move on to that poll. So give me a moment. Yes. We're moving on to the consent calendar. Is there anything that anyone wants pulled before? Okay,
Can you pull 15A?
15A is ratified and approved contracts.
Yes.
Anybody else want anything pulled? Okay, seeing none, I will entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar minus 15A.
So moved.
Okay, moved by trustee Markov. I need a second.
Second.
Seconded by trustee Martin. Okay, and so all those any further comments, questions? Okay, seeing none, call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Item 15A.
Item 15A, number 9, item 9, it's the Orange County Department of Education for interpreter training. Do we not have this ability to use San Diego County Ed for this?
We have, Marcella, do you want me to answer or do you want to answer? We're talking about the interpreter training. The reason.
For that curriculum, that community interpreter training? No.
So that's the organization that offers the official interpreter.
Let's go, Marcella. So, as we were discussing, I believe it was last time you commented on the additional, we have developed quite an extensive training program, more so than existed in the past. And so the community interpreter training is something completely related to interpreting and translating for occasional translations. So those are classified employees that are working out of class or extra money aside from stipends. And so we have streamlined this process so that we can do these at the moment, where in the past, we've had to have trainers come in and people leave their job. They participate in the training, and so we streamed this down to quite the lowest amount that we can, and so employees they'll take the test, and then classified HR will distribute out the training to them, and they'll do it asynchronous.
And my question is, that service is not offered through San Diego County?
Not that type, not community, not a community interpreter. There's very specific companies and vendors that will do that.
Okay. Thank you.
And I would like to ask Ms. Ramos a question. Ms. Ramos?
Oh, no, I was just gonna add.
No. Yeah, I was gonna ask you.
Oh,
What do you think? You went through that training?
Yes, I will say, it is a 40-hour training. The curriculum is amazing, is ideal for someone, what it's meant for is for our bilingual staff that do not
I will second, so seconded by trustee Morocco. Any further questions or discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you. It's a lot. We're working on the video right now, guys. We can keep going. We'll get it up. Just give us a moment. Sorry.
I
was like,
he looks too
old to do something like
If you think it's bad on your side, it's
Okay,
like.
so. Okay,
We've lost them.
okay, all right, come on, we've still got items and then we've got to retreat back to closed session. I want to remind everybody, so. Next is 18A, and I just want to say that we have 10 minutes before our student board members need to leave, so, let's, do 18A, which is the 2024 mid-year LCAP report.
All right, so Dr. Shigella, come on up. Do we lost him? He's on the plane right now. So while he's getting ready, while he's coming up here, he comes, Dr. Shigella. So this is an annual requirement in the state of California. You've actually received all of this information over the past couple of months, but we do have to follow through with it. It's an abbreviated version. We've given you the entire report so that you can look through it. But we've reported on all the metrics, with the exception of a couple, like the Healthy Kids survey. So let's go. Take it away, Dr. Shigella.
Dr. Shigella, can you do this in 10 minutes?
I can do this in 6 minutes.
Awesome.
Yes, I've been
Oh,
practicing.
You're my favorite now.
That means so much to me. I am offended that I wasn't your favorite before. All right, Dr. Doyle, we're ready. So as Dr. Doyle introduced for us and for me, there is a requirement within the state that by February 28th of each year, we present to the board and the public a report and update on the LCAP, how it's going in 2 ways. So one is around mid-year outcome data, and the other is around expenditures and implementation data. So as a quick reminder, I think we're going to hear this again and again tonight, because we're really, and we've heard it before, we're digging into LCAP season, but our LCAP is a 3-year process. We are in year 1. And also we talk about the glide path within the LCAP, because we know we're in a time of reductions. Go ahead. So Matt did share that the actual report is 59 pages. It is linked in the public agenda and it is also provided for you. What we are going to do is walk through a little bit so you know how to read it and reference it. After the LCAP was approved and our budget was approved, we did have additional funds come in from the state. And so you can see that amount there. It's about $300,000 that came in. And then when we look at the metrics, there are 3 different ways that we report metrics on the LCAP. Unknown, at least in the mid-year report, unknown, in progress, and known. So Matt, you can go ahead and switch. Now, a lot of the metrics, remember, we're in year 1. That means the baseline data came prior to this LCAP cycle. We did provide academic data in there, and that is from last spring. So it's actually from year 3 of the last LCAP cycle. Okay. So, and Steve Post has been doing a great job with his data insights as we've gone. So the metrics are in the report, but there are also metrics that aren't in there, and we'll look at examples so I can walk you through some of that. And then we also look at expenditures. So what has not been started, what's in progress, and what has been completed. And we'll look at an example of that, so I can point some things out to you as you're reading the report. So as an example for metrics and expenditures, we'll look at metrics first. So you can see on, this is goal 2, part of the conditions of learning. The first line of actual text under the header, you'll see that the mid-year outcome data says it's our Williams. We used our Williams reviews. We met 100%. Now, underneath that, you're going to see, oh, available May 2025. So we're calling out specifically for you the date that data will be coming and the timing, so May 2025. And you can also see what the sources of those data are. Going on to the expenditures. So again, this is lined up. I use the same goal number, so that sort of lines up and makes sense for you. You can see on goal and action 2.1, we're halfway through our fiscal year on this report. So the fiscal year goes July 1st through December 30, or starts July 1st. This mid-year report went from July 1st to December 31st. So in a rational mind, that would mean about 50% of all the funds are spent. You'll see it lower in parts, but also we want to point this out on the second line, 2.2, it's actually overspent from what was budgeted and projected. So this specific example is because of the flood at VAPA. That's not something you can foresee. Dr. Loescher has talked about the insurance issues with that. And so that is why that area is overspent. So there's very few examples of that, but I want to point that out because as we decline with money and as we're looking at how do we really become tight and operational with things, we want to make sure that we're sharing real actual information. So that's why we pulled that example. And I didn't time myself.
You did 5 minutes, so you like, did it. You gonna be like, here, I got a mint here for you.
Awesome.
You can have a lifesaver.
As long as Steve and Damon don't get mints after their presentation. Are there any questions?
Any questions?
This, again, this is more of a compliance. We're sort of checking the box, but making sure people understand how to read the box. All right,
Okay.
fantastic.
Thank you, Dr. Sheila. Okay.
Sorry, I was late.
No, you were fine. Okay, we got 3 minutes. So I'm gonna ask my student, the student board members. If you want to stay for your additional 3 minutes, you can, or otherwise you're excused. Okay, and you can stay as long as you want. We love having you.
They're not.
I love that you're, I love it.
Well, they're debating right now.
They're debating.
They're staying.
Next is, item 18B, board goals, review and feedback.
All right, Steve Post, take it away.
Thank you. See if I can do the trick here. Check one.
Yep.
Right. Good evening, Board of Trustees, Superintendent Dr. Doyle, student board members. I'm Steve Post, I'm the coordinator of measurement and monitoring, and I'm here to talk to you about our annual process for review of board goals. And I'd be happy to start with you today. So we are here for a collaborative discussion. Should we want to revise our board goals, we can do so. I'll start with a timeline for our process here. I'll look back at our 10-year history of revisions of board goals, talk about alignment within the district, look at metrics and progress, and we'll have an opportunity for feedback at the end. All right, so here we begin this evening, and this is our initial discussion on our board goals. And should we want to, in the future, we have additional dates set aside in April for additional revision discussions prior to adoption, along with our LCAP in June. All right, so let's look back at the last 10 years or so. So if we look back to 2014, that was the first year that we had our framework for the future, the first version there. We actually had 7 board goals at that time. We tried that large version there, and we found that to be a bit overwhelming. And we have since reduced down to 3 board goals, which actually aligns very well with the state priorities. They're the state priorities that are identified in the LCAP and LCFF as well. Those same 3 goals and priorities are echoed throughout the past few years, and we have refined our goals along with the framework for the future, our vision, and our implementation of the portraits, full set of values in our MTSS framework. So when we think about goals, we look at what the research might say about the number of goals and how to be effective. The research does indicate that using a smaller number of goals is more effective. It helps us focus. It helps us really track progress and metrics. I can attest to this as the principal of Vista Magnet for many years. We kept the same 4 pillars of excellence: engage, achieve, belong, and design. And with that sustained framework and that same small set of goals and philosophy, we were able to have coherence and sustained success. So that would be something I would emphasize for us to continue. So looking back to 2014 in our 10-year history where we had our framework for the future introduced, you can see that this was the first year that we actually had our goals aligned to the state criteria in the LCAP and the LCFF. That's when we began that process. And moving ahead to 2019, we did refine down the goals, and from the state did refine down to 3 as well, as our goals reflected that. And we also implemented our MTSS frameworks more thoroughly at that point.
So our framework for the future version 2.0 was initiated in 2021 and fully operationalized in the 22-23 school year. At that time, we had our new vision. That's a vision looking ahead for 10 or 15 years. We had our full set of portraits and our full set of values. That was a time with this new aspiration to look ahead. That was a time that made sense to redefine our goals. When we're talking about goals and revisions, I do want to remind everybody that we are responsible for aligning to our state metrics, which are defined in our LCAP and our MTSS. You can see the three main goals and priorities of conditions of learning, engagement, and pupil outcomes. We are responsible for addressing those. Sure, we can make our own local goals, but these are higher state level achievements that we need to always keep in mind. Another set of input among the variety of inputs that was introduced and considered was the Orinda study. The Orinda study from 2020 gave us some nice feedback on our curriculum development needs, a focus on the outcomes of our students and really preparing them for college and career. So among the many inputs for our current board goals, this was one component. So looking at the last revisions process in January of 23, the board did provide some nice feedback and direction. You can see here calling out implementation of MTSS, using the Orinda study, and the desire to look at a few versions of goals, some different potential goals, both broad and specific, and that was what the board reviewed next. So there were three versions. The first option presented here was a broad version or a traditional version of goals. And that was in February of 23. And you can see that the underlined terms were the state priorities. Second version, another one for consideration, was a specific version with sub goals as well. And a third version also presented in that same time was a theory of action version. The theory of action version was written in an if-then statement, meaning if we do this action, staff is engaged in this action, we have this expected outcome for our students, which is similar to the work of our staff and our educators, looking at the work that we can do and the expected outcomes. So that outcome-based model was the form that was ultimately selected by the board. That was then refined just a bit with some revisions here. And we can see that that was then adopted next on the next slide in our three current board goals with their aligned metrics. So that was March of 23. And at that point, we had our measures and our goals in that theory of action model, which is something that we echo through our work with our educators. To look at alignment, there's many layers. Our goals do echo and utilize our framework for the future. That's actually the inspiration for many pieces of our goals. The portraits are all called out within our goals, as are the values. Looking at the LCAP and the LCFF structure, those are the state priorities and the goals that we want to incorporate. And our goals currently do align with the LCAP procedures, which spell out, our actions, services, and expenditures and how we are going to meet those goals, both state and local, that we have defined. Speaking to the LCAP, like Eric just mentioned, as Dr. Shigela just mentioned, we see that there's a 3-year cycle, and we're in the first year of that 3-year cycle. We have a 3-year cycle in the LCAP in order to help us with sustained focus and building capacity among our staff and our systems. And here we are in year 1, and you can see that we're going to continue this for a few more years, and we already have momentum. We already have growth and progress with our goals as we have been acting on them already. The 3-year LCAP cycle allows us to track progress and metrics over time with the same focus areas. So if we were to revise our goals, the aligned time to do so would be the next LCAP cycle, approximately the 26-27 school year. Across our district, we've had a lot of effort to really align our language, align our systems, inputs from the board, the MTSS frameworks, our framework for the future, honoring that to create our current board goals, which then get activated on our blueprint, which is our house of learning that brings our teaching and learning to life in our schools, ultimately spelled out in our LCAP. To look into the metrics that we defined, we looked at leading and lagging metrics, and those are written into our board goals. Leading metrics are the day-to-day things that our teachers and staff work on at the schools with their collaboration and professional development. While lagging measures are looking at reports to the board, presenting data as it becomes available to confirm our progress over time. So looking into board goals and metrics, we have made progress and we have reported on those. And you can see that some have already been identified, and those that have not been checked off, we will present over time as well in the future. So we are making progress and making great strides and momentum on these goals with the metrics that we've identified. If we jump to, goal 2 specifically, there's a number of these that we've presented on this year, looking at large, gain in our progress on these metrics. For example, a 14% decrease in F grades at the high school, chronic absenteeism down almost 40%. Suspensions and expulsions down, suspensions down 23%. Overall discipline incidents down 40%. Real nice gains, and we'd like to continue that progress with this momentum. Looking at goal 3, another area where we've made a lot of reports about our progress, English and math and our CASP assessments, we have made gains in our math scores. English overall as an average appears flat for our whole district, but that doesn't tell the whole story of individual schools making significant gains, and some of which have our most impacted student populations. Big increases in our advanced placements, students taking exams and passing exams. Our career technical education pathways over the past 4 or 5 years, we've doubled the number of students who have completed pathways and doubled the numbers of internships. Looking at our IB exams, same progress as the AP, with big increases in students taking and passing those exams. And looking at our state seal of biliteracy, 38% increase in students earning the state seal of biliteracy in just a few years. So to summarize, we'd like to make a clear recommendation to the board. The district administration team recommends that we continue with the 3 current board goals and metrics as written, based on our progress, based on the momentum that we currently have. I do want to be clear that while we're in the middle of a 3-year LCAP cycle, should we change goals and change metrics, we would slow down progress. We would even potentially have regression as we reset our systems to bring up new training, new professional development, to align to new systems within that framework. So at this time, it is an opportunity for feedback and discussion, where you can discuss about the potential need for a look at the goals and the metrics. So we have a set of some sample questions that can guide you through that. And the questions here are for you to consider. Question number 4, I would like to point out, should you feel the need to revise the goals, I would like to make sure that we are looking at paying attention to sustaining our implementation of our framework for the future, to make sure that that is something that we continue strong. So with that said, thank you for your attention to this topic, and I'm here for any questions if you have them.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone have any questions or comments?
With what we could refine, do you want to start in order by board goal, or do we?
Okay, why don't I start and just say that I'm the one that requested that we put this on there, mainly because I find that the goals that we have, the way that they're written, is not very easily understandable by the average person, like, for example, parents. The average parent that's reading it, it's hard to understand. I also am concerned that within the goals themselves, there's no metrics to measure. Me coming from my background, that's kind of, if you're gonna have an objective, it's gotta be measurable. So while I don't necessarily have a problem with the goals, and I realize that we're in the middle of this system, and I'm not crazy about the goals, but I could live with them if we could just maybe find a way to word them so that the average person can understand it. And then maybe include, one of the ones that you put in there was kind of the one that had the sub goals, which I thought was, maybe has some potential for putting in benchmarks, measurable benchmarks. Okay, so there's that background. So now, Trustee Alvarado, did you want to comment from there?
As an educator myself, the way that they were written, I think is aligned with how we are evaluated and how we do our professional development at schools. So I'm not sure if, are the goals for us and our administrators and our teachers, or who are they for, right? Like, because we're gonna refine our systems, and by refining our systems, the work is done with the staff.
I appreciate that. What it seems to me is that we are the board, and a large part of what we do is approving the budgets and the numbers and all of that kind of stuff. And so sort of, I think the board goals are almost a reflection on our performance as well as board members. And are we meeting these benchmarks? Are we directing the staff to meet these benchmarks that we have set forward? They're called board goals. So I look at that sort of like that. I do know that there was actually something that caught my, and it's on another presentation, so I don't want to get too ahead of myself. But this idea that there was this strategic planning session, and that's item 18C. There's this item called focus. And actually, some of these are they're kind of good goals, like, achievement, grade level proficiency and academic standard. That would be a good goal,
Those are our sub goals.
Right. So I'm saying that those would be good main goals. The other thing is the vision that we have, that kind of seems like a goal. If we could just plug in some benchmarks that would have every student graduates from Vista Unified as resilient, agile learners, creative problem solver who navigates the world with confidence and kindness and eagerly embraces local and global changes. That would be, in my business, what we would call an objective. We'd plug in some numbers on it, like every student, maybe not every student graduates as a resilient, agile learner. We could maybe put some benchmarks numbers that would sort of define that. But that's what I'm saying is, as a layperson, when I look at these goals, I find them incredibly hard to understand. And I don't know what I'm looking at, and I sort of, I understand it now as a board member, but as a layperson, and when I ask people, like, what do you think of the goals, but they have no clue, they do not understand them. So if there's a way to make them more, make them more understandable, so that's kind of why I asked to bring this forward, is it seems like we're gonna be making these decisions that the board goals everybody should understand them. Okay, Mr. Markey.
My question to you is that you want to keep the same goals, you just want them to be worded differently?
Because we're in the middle of this.
Was this provided by you? Is this the example that you referenced? Like,
Is that Carlsbad?
there's a Carlsbad.
Yeah, these are the ones that I provided. I did not realize that you.
I gave it to everyone you asked me to.
Okay, all right. I was thinking that maybe we could put it up there, but yeah, Carlsbad does a really good job, I think, with their goals. It's not even the goals themselves, it's the format. I really like that format of where they have the goal and then they have the measurable benchmarks below it. So things that was things. The other one was, the one that was just something I would use in my business that I kind of made up. I just made up some goals, but
Yeah.
and so, getting back to Trustee Martin, I would prefer to change the goals, but since we're in the middle of a cycle and I don't want to disrupt anything, I'm okay with just rewording them.
And if I could add a commentary to that.
Sure.
There are some goals that are reflected already here that are already part of this graphic, so maybe it's, looking at which ones have, benchmarks that we can look at and, just adding that, because I know there's progress, we can get reports. When we meet with our principals, we're gonna see, both ELA and math scores, so we get that, but I mean, like, if you can revisit this at the benchmark assessments and then go from there, does that sound?
Yeah, that, I don't know, I'd like to hear from.
We've used that structure, the Carlsbad structure before.
Yeah, so I'd be happy to speak to that. So as Dr. Doyle just said, we have used a structure very similar to that. That was actually back in 2014. We had those benchmarks as you're describing. That's actually very similar to the LCAP structure, where a baseline metric and a year-end goal and expected outcome is defined with a certain amount of growth. And so that's a great idea that we can absolutely incorporate. It would be essentially a revision of our metrics. It would be a revision of our metrics to specify this amount of percentage points, based on this amount of time. And it would be terminology that we could match to the state, meaning, baseline and year end and those types of same terms, so that our LCAP alignment and our board goal alignment continue with that nice, similarity.
Consistency.
Yes.
I would be okay with that, if that's okay with you guys, if that's.
So we'll bring you back a mock-up, and we'll see what you guys think. We have plenty of time to talk about it, but we have an idea of where you want to go with this. We'll bring you a mock-up back and have you give us feedback at the next board
Yeah,
meeting.
it's really more about transparency and making sure that everybody that looks at our goals understands what we're on the same page about.
Yeah, I'm gonna just kind of throw my 2 cents in there and say I agree with a simpler language for someone like me who can read it. For instance, I will look at goal 2 and I will personally go home wondering, what does it mean to have create lessons that are universally designed? I don't know what that means.
Sure.
You're right.
Yeah.
So that's just as an example, it sounds nice and it probably is nice, but I don't know what it means. And so that's kind of like, as a goal for me or the board, that's the kind of thing that I think Rena is, aiming at there. So, and I just looking at this briefly, the Carlsbad format looks really nice. So, yeah.
Yeah, we can absolutely work on a mock-up with those types of benchmarks. And we can absolutely look at some clarification to make sure that the terminology we use is matching the needs of the board.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I just want to say, I looked at other school districts to see what their board goals look like, and most other school districts don't even have board goals, they're kind of embedded in the LCAP. So Carlsbad did, and I really liked it, so. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Thank you for the feedback.
No problem. Any other questions, comments? Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Moving on, we will go to 18C, Strategic Planning Session 2, staffing.
Dr. Shigela is my partner tonight.
Does that mean he doesn't have to share his mint with you?
That means I'm going to hold the microphone while he talks, and then while I talk, I'm gonna hold the microphone, he's gonna write on the chart, and he's. What? Turn it over.
Turn one over.
Well, Sean, can you help him with that?
Well, I can just hold it. I don't care. Yeah. Let's put my fist on it, but, so Dr. Shigela and I, now let me get refocused.
Helping my technologically challenged.
No.
So you got pushed on the bottom, you got pushed to move.
I'm just.
Did you guys know that happens?
It reverses the
I
polarity,
did
so the
not
button
know.
now moves.
I did not know that. Okay.
We'll cover that.
That's where
Okay.
Mike comes from.
I'm going to focus now. So, thank you for having us tonight. We are going to go through, some of our strategic planning sessions as we continue to develop the budget. However, we do have to have some conversations regarding staffing. Staffing is that first part that you have to go through because we have timelines, throughout the rest of the school year, and we have a lot to plan for. So I'm going to start. He's going to take you through, some slides to set the stage.
Second time that I'm gonna talk to you about LCAP tonight. So
You don't have to push it.
I don't think I have to touch it.
You don't have to.
I've been asked to help lead the LCAP development process this year. So from here on forth, have the opportunity to interact with you a lot around this cycle and process. So you've been in the history, you were here for December 16th, the 16th of January, 23rd of January. And now we're at February 6th. And so what we are working towards is we just gave the mid-year LCAP update, but staffing. So with the process of LCAP development, you got to think about it like a funnel. So we're starting really big, and then we're going to get down to some of the minutia, which I know there's some interest in talking about some of the minutia. At the big part of the funnel, staffing represents almost 90% of our budget. And so that is the really big block. We have to talk about it tonight because it's so big, but also we're time bound. So there are certain dates in March that we have to notify people if we need to notify them around certain things. That can go on. And go back actually real quick. Sorry, I cut myself off. What I'm excited about the most in this new role for me is in the middle of April, we have the opportunity to come back and share all the community feedback that has been received around the LCAP process. And so we get to dig in with students. There's a whole team of people that will meet with students from every school with different stakeholder groups. And so that will be in mid-April. So we have that information before we actually make big decisions. Steve just talked about the goals, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time going through this again. Just a quick reminder that there's 3 state priorities and your board goals are attached to each of those. And then the House for Learning, our blueprint. This was a novel way that Dr. Doyle years ago came up with to help explain big ideas. So right now, our LCAP is 156 pages. How do we break that down and explain like what is actually happening in here? So this is sort of the hope, and it's our 7 strategies that then relate to the 7 goals of the LCAP. It's built on a theory of action, if-then statements, and ours is centered around the whole child and learner-centered experiences. Steve had this same slide, so I won't go through it as well. It's just, again, reiteration that as we go through everything, we're trying to build a coherent system that is built upon itself. And so, Rena, you mentioned that you like this slide. This is a great slide. And Dr. Olmsted brought this slide to us this summer to all the principals and directors and leadership in the district about this is what we're focusing on to really hone us in that if we achieve these 4 things, then we will be moving the needle with what we've told and promised the community that we'd be doing. And so access, and so Mike, you mentioned universal design for learning. And so we'll come back with more information about that, but it's about access for kids and for each learner in their learning journey. And how do we go about that? And so we've been doing a lot of work with principals to work with their teachers around developing classroom experiences where every learner is able to achieve and engage.
Okay.
And so as students engage more, then we see like they have better attitudes, their discipline goes down. And that is supported by our PBIS system. And when kids are actually care about what's happening in the classroom, and when their behavior is better, they're attending class more. And I know at the heart of this board, all 5 of you, we want to see the academic achievement increase. And so kids coming every day is what helps. What helps with that is that they want to come with a positive learning attitude and that we're addressing their individual needs. All right.
Did you notice I sat down? He uses his hands really well. And
Don't want to hit HR in a public session.
it's okay.
Really?
I was one of 7. I got hit often by siblings. So this slide represents some of the adjustments that you made at last month's board meeting, where you made some adjustments to the strategies that the board was going to focus on. And so the first 4 bullets used to be 1 bullet, where keep our focus on students at the center. Those used to be together, framework for the future, board goals, equity policy. So we did separate those out. And then as you go to the last 4 actually create the 3-year plan, we adjusted that from the 5 to the 3. And then the last 4 bullets, we identified address the reduction in COLA, add a strategy for funding for facilities and maintenance, add a strategy on class size reduction for grades K-5, and add a strategy for recruitment and retention of staff. So those were all added there.
Let's pause there for a moment. Did we capture, this was the feedback you gave us the last board meeting. Is there anything else that we need to add in terms of, these are like guiding bullets for us?
Didn't we talk about reducing class size?
It's on
there.
It's the next to the last bullet.
There we go. And, oh, yes, okay, great.
Did we capture it? Excellent. All right, we can move on.
All right. And so as you know, we offered an early retirement incentive to all of our employees, and it was very successful. Just to review, the objective was to generate some fiscal savings for the next school year as we were developing the budget that aligned with our operational goals, declining enrollment, one-time funding expiration, and hiring of new employees at those different salary levels. That's where your major savings is. And so some general information here, we had quite a few employees that are participating, 262 in total. Certificated, 134, classified, 128. The number was 263, just in case you're wondering. We've had one person that will not be participating, and that could happen. A few people might not meet that criteria by the end of the year. So as those adjustments happen, I will keep you updated. So when you look at a full replacement, so let's say we, 262 employees leave, we replace everybody that retires. The savings to the district is estimated to be $3,331 is, no, that's not right. 3.3, I'm not the finance person. My checkbook doesn't go this high. So, and then, and that's broken down by certificated at about 2.2 million, classified at about 1.1. And as you know, we are looking for 4.5 million still to, that's required by SDCOE that we need to identify in our future budget reductions. So we're nearly there just with this. And you have to consider as well that there could be other staff that we don't end up replacing because we've looked at our declining enrollment once we actually know all those numbers and we replace. So there could be additional monies just with that. But we do have to make sure that we have that additional estimated budget reductions needed are about 1.1 million more, which could take care of itself with just the general staffing as we finalize our staffing. Any questions on that? Okay. So this slide here represents our current LCAP is a 3-year LCAP. We're in year 1 right now, and we have years 2 and 3. So we have identified in the LCAP, and the board approved this last year, reductions through attrition in years 2 to 3. That means attrition is retirements. You don't fill the position, resignations, promotions. We are going to have quite a few promotions. That's what we're anticipating. And so this will occur naturally, and through attrition, if you're reducing, you just would not fill that position and you would adjust staff. Okay. Positions are classified here in 4 categories: resource teachers, social emotional supports, safety and supervision, family engagement. And there's multiple certificated classified positions that are in there. It is not any group in its entirety. It's a small reduction of different groups. And so this is the opportunity for the board to look at this, discuss, and provide us feedback, because there's a couple of items to consider here. One, is these are the only positions that could potentially be in a layoff situation. Okay, so there's no other considerations for a layoff. It would just be these. And that means, are we going to do attrition through the retirement or run the attrition through next year? And so we need a feedback. Are we okay with at least identifying these and continuing with attrition? Would that attrition end in June? Would that attrition end, into the next school year? And so there's a couple ways to do that, because coming up in March, we do have that deadline for any potential layoffs.
Okay, so do we want to have a discussion about this?
I do.
Okay, go for it.
So help me with the math. 3.3 million through the early retirement.
Yes.
And we're looking at additional cuts from the district office.
So these cuts were already made.
They were already made.
These were already made in last year's LCAP. They are not in the budget. This amount of money is not in the budget for year 2.
The cuts you're referring to, Sue, are coming up in a slide.
Right.
In a
Okay.
moment.
Then I'll wait for that slide.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions or comments?
So let me jump in.
I do need a little.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that everyone's clear on this slide. So what we're proposing on this slide, and again, we have other meetings coming up, so you can change your mind, but for the purpose of now, we are tasked with starting to write the LCAP or make adjustments to it. So what you're looking at in this slide, we call them buckets, the 4 buckets, are the current projection of staffing reductions next year that's already written into the plan. And that the question on the table is, are you comfortable with this as we move forward with these current reductions? And the feedback we're asking for you is, should we move forward with it exactly the way written? Or should we overlay in order to avoid any layoffs, should we overlay a projected timeline for reduction through attrition?
Go ahead.
So believe it would be a better approach to use attrition rather than laying off employees. Especially because we can now utilize those positions that are being vacated because of the early retirement. And I think that would be my approach. That would be my vote. Or I know you have to get some consensus, but I don't want to lay off employees. Anybody else?
I agree with trustee Alvarado. I don't want to lay them off either. It would be simpler to go through attrition. My concern is with the resource teachers. Explain to me this bucket. Is that the cost of the current resource teachers, the 4.5 mil? The dollar amount?
There are many, we have multiple resource teachers in different departments. Some of this is like a complete group, as far as one-time funding ending, and there are a few others that are in other groups that is specific funding that we did need to reduce.
And so it's my understanding a lot of the resource teachers may be backfilling the vacancies?
Yes. For example, we have out of the 134 certificated staff, 95 of those are classroom teachers.
Okay. The social emotional supports and the safety and supervision, these first three buckets hit the kids directly. So I would be much in favor of nutrition as opposed to anything else.
Well, I think we are talking about attrition. It's just that these are not refilling or we're not replacing.
Well, at this point, that would be the plan as we move forward, because we do have the March 15th deadline, and that's why a general discussion over what is actually identified already. But the difference would be, do you want to do that in June or moving forward into a little bit into the next year? Full attrition, wait until they're vacant.
So the question that's on the table right now is, and it looks like we're already beginning to get your feedback, is that you were in agreement with the reduction in these buckets. It's just the timeline might be longer because we would wait for any position that isn't vacated to vacate over time. So it could potentially cost a little bit more money. We don't, just having looked into it very closely, we don't anticipate a large number of positions that we may need to wait for a long time on. It would be fairly small, but we need to be transparent with you. So if the consensus from you is attrition, then we would simply not develop any layoff notices for March. This is a time-bound conversation. That's why this is on the table. Again, we can have a different conversation later, but we wouldn't be able to lay anyone off after the March deadline.
Okay, so let me ask for consensus. How many people are okay? Oh, how many people want to avoid layoffs?
Okay.
Okay,
That's all the
so
consensus we need.
we're
We're good. We can move on.
Thank you.
All right, let's move on. That's all we needed.
All right. So slide 10, district office staff, we've reviewed our current staffing and vacancies that would come across regarding due to the retirement. And so we're recommending a restructure of current positions that are impacted by the retirement. And so we are recommending a large amount, 1.9 million. That would be 941,000 coming from certificated management. This would be a reduction. Certificated non-management, that would be a reduction, and classified non-management reduction. This money is not reduced in the budget, so this would be an additional 1.9 that we would reduce from the budget. This is something that we should start to work on because we need to backfill positions and get everything ready for the next school year.
Again, are these are positions that are going to be vacated through and
Not necessarily certain positions, but we that through the restructure, we will not backfill certain positions, and that has allowed us to reduce by this amount.
Clarifying question, and you just said it, but I'm gonna ask you again. So this is a budget reduction of 1.9 million coming from cuts up here at the district.
Yes, that are not currently in the budget. So for example, we have 3.3 million toward our 4.5. This would put us directly actually in over that amount. This is one option.
And these are through attrition or cuts?
Attrition. I mean, there might be a
There
few
would be a few
adjustments.
cuts. We
Yeah.
can bring it back to you, but a combination of attrition and cuts. And the reason we're talking about it now is if we made the cuts, we would have to notify people before March.
Right.
And,
Go ahead.
and so with this, we will make the 4.5 mil.
Oh, you're over.
Oh, you're over at this
Well
point.
over.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anybody else have any questions or comments? Okay, I do. So we would be talking about layoffs, potential layoffs, if we go with these numbers, is that correct?
No, it would just be a shift in positions.
Mhm.
So, and if, anytime you make a shift in positions, you have to notify them by March.
Oh, gotcha, thank you.
So this would allow us to start to work on that and start to make those movements because we do, I mean, these are district positions that start working on projects for the next school year as well. And we have a few crossovers. We need to make sure that happen.
Okay, so you need to know consensus from us whether this is okay with us?
Yeah, that's all we need.
Okay, one more question.
So are any of these gonna result in promotions, which would be a salary raise?
It could, I mean, for specific, so the best way, I guess, because I don't want
Yeah,
to.
let me explain.
Talking about the
I know exactly
restructure
what-
without saying the
Yeah.
exact
I know
restructure in
exactly
the
what
session.
trustee Martin's asking for. So the answer is no, is a zero-sum game.
Right.
But an individual
Might increase.
may increase their salary, but it wouldn't have a financial impact on the district.
1.9 mil.
Is 1.9 million, yes.
It's 1.9 million,
But
yes.
I want to be clear, there are some individuals that may move to a higher position.
Yes.
And that individual, by definition, would receive more money, but it wouldn't have a financial impact on the district.
Okay.
I think that's what you were asking.
Yes.
Yes, all the positions for the district office are in the budget right now, so this
Yeah.
would be not backfill,
Does not impact.
restructuring, but it's just not an even, not filling a retirement. Because we're gonna do some movement.
Okay, does anyone else have any questions? Okay, you continue, ask all the questions you want or.
Good questions?
Or do I need to wait till the next slide where you're talking about teachers?
Well, it'd be better to get
Um,
consensus here and then move on to the next slide. just to be
Yes, because the
clear.
next one would be more about class
Back to
size
the
and.
president. We just need
All right.
consensus on this slide.
Okay,
Kind of peek ahead.
raise your hand if you're in favor of this.
Okay, we'll bring it back to you.
Okay. Okay. Thank- Oh, I was gonna say one thing, could be helpful, since we are looking at, reduced student enrollment and attendance and all that. If it would be possible, based on the projections that we got from the demographer, to align those with these projections to see where we'll be in like 3 years.
Mhm.
If we will be, like, well, it could be that we're gonna not fill some of the
Mhm.
new duty positions, but
Right.
that could be okay because we're having.
Because of declining in numbers,
Yes,
yes.
yes,
We'll follow.
okay.
All right, so this is the slide.
Yeah.
And so this slide will demonstrate all of our staff that function in several categories. So we've categorized our staff in about 5 areas. Our staff might fall under core. Core would be defined as legal requirements, but also what the district defines as core. A roster teacher, a principal, noon duties, how many noon duty ratios, prep teachers, some things are contractual that demonstrate core. So there are staff that are just core, but core can be an addition set by the district on staffing ratios. Interventions, we have intervention teachers, or we might have intervention sections where that's the academic support that students might need and receive at the site. There are staff that cover that. Supplemental programs could be programs like Prop 28, anything that's not necessarily core, but that, that we have in our LCAP that actually are supplemental to the core or interventions. Professional development, we have staff that provides professional development. Some of our staff provides multiple areas, not just that their whole job might not just be professional development, but we know that that's something that we're moving toward is that our staff does that. And then innovation, anything that's not quite supplemental, some of the things, extra sessions that are added to students that are outside of the core, outside of supplemental, some of our extra sessions at the high schools, just throughout, there are different innovative classes that are at some of our magnet schools. So that would be the innovation. So we have staff in all of these categories. Now, on the left, this is our current contractual staffing structure. TK3, 24. We know that TK, it could be adjusting, so, but right now it's 24. 3 through 5, class size is 34. 6 through 8, 34, but also a 190 maximum throughout all of the class periods that a teacher teaches, and 9 through 12, 38 with 165 minimum, maximum.
Is TK3 actually 26?
So TK3, just a class size is 24, but K through 3, the average is 26. So, no. Go back, we're not done yet. So we do need, it's okay, so we do need some feedback here. One of the things that we need to consider are the top two on the right, staffing above the contract class size, basically due to declining enrollment. We do our best to base our staffing on projections. Over the last several years, the enrollment has been a little bit less than that, so we have to staff based on potential reduction, declining enrollment, and then sometimes it's even more, which means sometimes we have extra staff, but it's past March 15th, and we just, it automatically reduces class sizes. So there are some guidelines that you can provide us as we go and give the sites their staffing allocation. How tight would we staff? Would we staff based on the actual declining enrollment that we're projecting? Should we go a little bit more? And if it doesn't decline that much, then we add staff at the beginning of the year, because sometimes that would help with the replacement of teachers that are coming back and the savings for the district. So there's just some of those considerations. Also, we've talked in the past about combo classes. We definitely need some direction on combo classes. Last year, we had 9 elementary combo classes, which means there were 9 teachers that were extra to eliminate combo classes. And also extra allocations, our secondary schools get extra allocations for different innovation programs or supplemental programs. That doesn't necessarily need to be addressed tonight, but as we're providing our sites with staffing allocations based on projections, it's going to be at the end of this month. How tight do we recommend that we staff? And we also need some direction on the combo classes.
Go ahead.
Combo classes, is that in the best interest of our students? Let me answer that, no. So combo classes, absolutely not, especially at the elementary level. Even in the high school level, when they combo AP classes at 2 different levels, the teacher is then forced to teach 2 different curriculums in a classroom. It's an impossible situation, and the students do not benefit from that whatsoever. As far as staffing, we've hit our 4.5, above 4.5, and there are no such thing as extra teachers. We really need to recognize that smaller class sizes is really the best for our kids. I understand the expense in that, I truly do, but we can make cuts in other places. I am not at all in favor of tightening up so that we have class sizes at their maximum at all. I don't think that benefits our students. It certainly doesn't benefit the learning environment at all. These kids, especially in secondary, they're really large people. They're not kids, they're large people. And cramming 38 into a classroom, trust me, it's not a safe environment. Backpacks, bodies, et cetera, et cetera.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Yep, no, I'm in favor of not reducing, not having combo classes, especially in our Title I schools, so I agree with that, Trustee Martin. On declining enrollment, definitely want us to monitor that closely, but one thing I would caution is under the last 8 years ago, when we had, the current administration at the federal level, we did see a sharper decline in enrollment, which is not coming back and families being deported. And so with that, as we think about, the projection and this unfortunate situation is how do we make sure that we keep that in mind? And with that, I know that the County Office of Education is looking at, options for getting students back to, some sort of like independent studies. And so, working with students that, families are living in Tijuana, that at the very least, they're getting the services that, they were getting as students with the Unified.
Yeah, we're monitoring that. I'm actually on that task force with the county, so we're monitoring that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else?
I've been a staunch advocate of eliminating, those combo classes since I was sworn in 2019. It's a very difficult position, but especially in the environment that we find ourselves, coming out of the pandemic and, just observing the needs, the high needs of our students and how so many of our students are now like tier 2 and tier 3, where it's almost like the triangle's inverted when you're talking about the multi-tiered systems of support. So, it would be detrimental to do so, to have combo classes, and I would be in favor of trying to find a reduction with those, classes, but like, there's only so many pots of money. And I've been told, because I was really proud that the boards that I've served with since I've been sworn in has committed to keeping combo classes away as much as we can, but I've also heard reactions from some of, the certificated staff, oh, we didn't ask for that. When during kind of negotiations and money and stuff that, well, you guys did that, we're not asking for that, almost like it didn't matter. At least that's kind of the approach, or that's what I felt when I was very proud of saying we kept those classes to a minimum in Vista Unified. So if we approach it that way, understand there's gonna be very little wiggle room in a budget. Very little wiggle room for everything from, in our general fund, from our facilities to, I don't know. So it's just, we have to be realistic. It's not we have to make serious decisions as we plan for our budgets, and we have to make very, intentional decisions. So, it's not gonna be easy to do that.
Anyone else?
I am also against combo classes. Thank you.
I am too, and I agree with everything that trustee Martin said, and I appreciate what trustee Alvarado is saying. But I think we just saw, significant cuts that we were talking about making. And so at least for the next couple of years, I think that we're okay if we stay, if we keep away from the combo classes for the time being.
Correct, but also we have to think about the possibility of some of those federal funds not coming in and how those funds are given to us after the fact and how much cash we have on hand to make payroll for our employees. And we don't need, we're gonna be in a situation where we might have to take some type of loan from the county. Has that happened before?
Yeah.
Okay, that's happened before, y'all, where we were like, we were this close to not being able to make payroll for our employees because of the cash on hand.
I appreciate that, and that's a very valid point, because I worry about it too, what's gonna happen with this new administration, getting rid of the Department of Education and our Title III funding and all that the funding that we rely on so much. But right now, right here, right now, today, we kind of have to make decisions with what we know. And you're bringing up a lot of things that we don't know, so I would say, for the time being, I would say at least for one more year, we can probably.
I can provide you another option. For the last several years, our principals have done 2 staffing plans. It doesn't take much more time to identify how many combos you would have, and then if you did it. So basically they identify it, and then I total those up, I bring it back to the board, and you can actually look at the money associated with it if that's what you wish to do. I always bring it back in October anyway to kind of show how many combo classes we ended up with, but our principals do have to staff as if they are, and that's when they reduce them. So they have to identify them in order to know where to put that teacher.
I think we just, all 5 of us said no combo classes.
Okay.
I'm just trying to get the consensus. I'm hearing 2 points of consensus. I'm just checking with the board. One is combo classes. There's consensus that we want to eliminate combo classes as we develop the LCAP.
Is there? Raise your hand if you want to eliminate combo classes. Okay, yes.
And the other point I think we have consensus on as it relates to us developing the projections and the staffing for next year is that we would base it on where we are with our demographer and the projections from that professional organization. Is everyone comfortable with that as well? Because those are the two factors we have to
Right.
work with right now.
We would staff based on the demographer's declining enrollment. We would not go beyond that. We would stick with what they're projecting the declining enrollment
For next year.
Yes.
Okay,
Which is what we have done every year, which we've still been,
Well,
having a
sometimes it's faster than what
Yeah.
the demographer thinks, but that's.
well, and I do want to say something about like, I want to, something that nobody touched on, and it's this 3 through 5, 34 students and no IAs. That's a lot of little, a lot of students for one teacher to accommodate with no extra set of hands. And sometimes you have students that are all different levels of learning, you could have English learners with SPED students, with gen ed students, with gifted students, and that just seems like a lot. So I know that I'm not trying to spend more money, but I just am making a note of that, that to me seems like a lot. Okay, is there any
We're good on that.
other consensus?
do you have any more comment?
We're good with that.
Trustee Alvarado, did you have a comment?
No.
Trustee Martin, did you have a comment?
No.
I thought somebody put their hand up, that's why I was like, trustee Vargas, did you have a comment? No? Trustee Marco? No. Okay,
I do. The demographer, I know that we'll look at the possibility of declining enrollment. Does that mean that you will give us the numbers that are as close and as tight as possible, or will we still have what you called extra teachers on the campuses?
So it won't be as tight. And when I talked about staffing really tight and maybe even below, that means we take the bare number and we even staff a little bit below that. That's not what we've been doing, and that doesn't sound like what I'm hearing. So we would take our enrollment projections. We'll run through the formulas with the staffing like we do every year. We'll provide that to the principals. And then with the elementary, they'll identify where they might have had combos. And then that's how they split them up and add the teachers, so they'll know what grade levels those are in. And then secondary, we were pretty close this time, a little bit over.
Very close.
So we just wouldn't, and when I said tight, it's like going a little bit below, adding teachers later. So, and that's not what I'm hearing, but that was something to consider. So we would do exactly what we've done over several years. We project the enrollment, we do our calculations for staffing, we meet with our principals, we identify that, and that's when I can start identifying the staff that we need and where we might find additional savings from staff that isn't needed because we don't need to replace them due to the enrollment.
And will we have input on the staffing that you think we do not need?
So let me jump in on.
And this would be considered your core. These are classroom formulas for the contractual amount.
Okay.
Yeah. What I was gonna say is, what we'll bring back to the board, this has been helpful for us, this is exactly what we need tonight. I don't know if we need any more right now, we have many meetings coming up. So, we have enough marching orders now to start to put some ideas together. You'll be engaged as board members on 2 levels as it relates to the development of our projections. One, we'll have an individual meeting with you, kind of a background building meeting, and then we'll also bring it back to the board in open session. And that will happen in the coming months.
Okay.
Madam President,
Yes,
clarifying question.
sure.
So is there consensus to staff based on demographic declining enrollment data?
Okay, let's see, show hands or thumbs up. Thumbs up.
And I'd like to add, if my fellow trustees are in agreement, is there some kind of data that we can get based on? Like, are we losing students now because of the environment of, increased immigration enforcement in North County?
Yeah, so Dr. Lozier excellent question. Dr. Lozier is putting a report together. We anticipate giving it to you every couple of weeks. Sadly, we have to wait a couple days in order to have accurate data for you, but we absolutely will give you a report.
If my fellow trustees would, be in agreement, I'd like that information added to the demographics as well.
Okay, so let me restate it real quick to make sure. So we're going to add the demographics of the current impact to attendance as a result of the immigration challenges. Is that what I'm hearing from all of you?
Yes.
Yes, Dr. Doyle.
We just want to do
That's what
that,
I
we
was
just want to do it
thinking.
right.
My fellow trustees are in agreement with that.
Consensus?
Dr. Shigella, are you good with that?
Yes, I understand. Thank you.
Excellent. I think we're
And-
finished.
Okay,
Now do I reverse this or do?
well, we have some more.
I
We
know,
have some more.
but you guys are gonna have to push unless you wanna reverse the polar. What was it?
Polarity.
Okay, okay, so now we are moving on to GLAD secondary program strategies.
Find it here, give me a second. Okay, I think we're ready.
We're back to push to talk, right?
Yeah, you can turn it over and there's a little switch.
I'll
Need
push the
Sean's help?
button.
You need Sean's help?
Yeah.
You want me to flick it for you?
Yes, please.
My editor's coming, he's gonna reverse the polarity.
Well, and with that, I was gonna ask, does anybody want or need this presentation? Cause I asked for it, but I wanted to more have a discussion. Do you want the presentation? Great, no problem.
All right, here we go.
The yes, gets it.
Perfect. Good evening, everyone. So I am here tonight to present to you some of the GLAD strategies that have been presented in our high schools. To be clear, GLAD includes 35 strategies that are intended to be used in tandem with one another to take students through a learning unit of study. This year, you can go ahead and click, thank you. So this year we have actually introduced 4 strategies as part of that exposure. Given that we put a pause on doing full GLAD training at secondary level, we're just doing exposure level. And so the first strategy is what's called 10-2. The purpose of this strategy is to provide students with a chance to have guided oral practice. So as the teacher is preparing their lesson, they think about trying to present orally no more than about 10 minutes at a time to give students a chance to stop, provide a prompt, and have discussion about what they heard. So it helps them to confirm their understanding as well as to build the language. They're hearing the language, but now we're asking them to actually utilize the language. This strategy has been introduced at both RBB and Vista High this year. The second strategy that we have been introducing both at RBB and Vista High this year is called observation charts. This particular chart is used generally before introducing a new topic. It is intended to help generate thoughts and ideas around what the students are about to learn. Students, the teacher prepares either some images, some realia related to the content that the students are about to learn. Students have a chance to go around and observe this in pairs at different stations. Think about what they're seeing, try to describe what they're seeing, ask questions about what they're seeing. And that helps to build sort of like that motivation and interest for what they're about to learn. The third strategy that we have been using, again, both at Rancho Buena Vista and Vista High, is called an inquiry chart. Those of you who are familiar with the know, want to know, and learned, the inquiry chart is like a living document. The students, typically after they have done the observation chart, they come back together, they talk about what is it that we know or we think we know about this topic? What questions do we have or what do we think we want to learn? And then over the unit of study, students and teachers come back to this document to check, were we correct in what we initially thought? Are there new things that we would like to learn, new questions that we have? And what actually have we learned as a result of this? Again, this strategy helps students to, really help them to continue that building the focus and the motivation for what they're learning and to develop that inquiry mindset. And the fourth GLAD strategy that we have been, have introduced this year only at Rancho Buena Vista is what's called a learning log. This takes it from oral practice to written practice. In my own experience as a secondary administrator, one of the things that I observed was a lot of instruction was orally presented or visually presented, and then students were asked to demonstrate their knowledge through reading and writing on a written test. They didn't have the skills, they hadn't been able to have a chance to read the text or write. So then when it came to the test, it was very difficult for them. So the purpose of the learning log, again, is to take those chunks of learning, pose a question to students that requires that they think and write out what they are learning about that particular topic, and also make a personal connection. So if you're learning about the Civil War, what are we learning about this? And is there anything that you've experienced in your life or seen to make a personal connection to this? Again, it really helps to build a reading, writing connection, but also to help kids make connections to the content.
Thank you. Any questions or go ahead. Stuart.
Hi, hello. So, as a retired teacher, it may be difficult to think that, I'm not in favor of this. I've seen a lot of programs come and go, and, this one seems very, very similar to Elevation, and you just made note of 5, strategies. The inquiry chart is very similar to the anchor chart in Elevation. The 10-2 is very similar to the 5-2 in Elevation. The learning log is extremely similar to the guided notes in Elevation, and the observation chart is the same as I Notice, I Wonder. Elevation also provides us with all the monitoring that we need. I understand that there may be a need for moving on into a more rigorous type of program, but I'm not really quite seeing it yet. So maybe you can help me by answering a couple of questions. First of all, did you go through the training yourself? Are you fully trained?
I am not. I am not fully trained. I've only attended parts.
Okay. And then how many secondary TOSAs do we have working right now with the teachers?
We have one secondary GLAD TOSA, and all of our ELD resource teachers are also trained. They're not trained as trainers, but they are all trained.
And the secondary TOSA that's assigned to GLAD, and this person, he or she is traveling through the secondary schools and assisting teachers to get to know them?
Yes.
And do they have a sequence of schools, or how is that happening?
So right now, they've been providing this whole staff professional learning at the request of administrators. They're going into the classes of individual teachers who have been trained that would like to have the support. And then any other assistance that anyone would need with implementing GLAD.
You said they, but there's only one.
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry.
I get it. So how, if there's a teacher that wants to learn these, or maybe see somebody come in and model it, who do they reach out to? To you? How does that process work?
So Vicki Curtis is our secondary coordinator, and she works closely with the secondary GLAD TOSA. We also have a digital system where schools can request, or teachers can request that they want support, or they could reach out to one of the 2 of them.
And so this secondary TOSA has not been on any campuses second semester, is that true?
I would have to look at her calendar and follow up with you. I believe that she has. Well, second semester being as of January. No, probably not.
Because there's no requests, or?
There have not been any requests that I know of for January. Primarily because this person is also participating in the TOT. They are working to support the other 2 candidates in the TOT, and they're doing a lot of practice and going to additional GLAD training to become a trainer.
It doesn't sound to me as if that person is being utilized then. If we want to infuse this into the secondary, shouldn't well, I think you should, shouldn't she be on campuses 6 through 12 every day?
Given that this person is not yet a trainer, they can't provide first-time instruction. They can do the sort of introductory type sessions at the school level, but they can't go in and do training with teachers who have not participated in the training.
Right, I don't think we want to do training, but I'm thinking of when we implement this into the secondary, it's going to go into all 4 core areas: math, social studies, science, and this one, English, which requires 6 days of training, correct?
I just received word from Orange County Department today, and it looks like they've scaled it back to 4 days in total.
Okay, so 4 days, 3 high schools, 5 middle schools, and all of the core teachers getting trained out of class with subs. Is all of that budgeted?
Not for this year, no.
Well, it wouldn't be this year.
Yeah.
They're not, glad secondary isn't ready yet.
Correct. I would have to check exactly what's in the budget, but we did have a 3-year plan that we set in place this year.
Okay, so wouldn't it be feasible that this TOSA should be out there at least introducing it to the secondary teachers, not necessarily training them, but maybe modeling lessons? Why isn't she being utilized?
She could be. We just haven't had that request yet, since January.
No requests.
Not at this time.
Okay. Okay. These strategies, how do they attend to the whole child in secondary? The GLAD strategies?
Can you clarify?
It's social, emotional, academic?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, so the primary intent obviously is to build language in content. And the impact of that on socially emotionally for a student is quite immense. Students who do not receive that type of support in a class tend to withdraw, tend to not speak, tend to not gain the academic learning that is intended for them. So it is definitely a whole child approach, which I think is a distinction with GLAD over other systems for strategies, is that there is a professional learning component that looks at what are all of those things that we need to consider about an English learner and their needs as different from a non-English learner. We've had strategy programs, went through SIOP, we've done a lot of different isolated strategy techniques. And the big difference with GLAD is that it does bring in that 2-day big research theory, like what is it that an educator would need to know about an English learner and their experience to be able to tap into their strengths and abilities and help them to access the content better.
And when do you anticipate that the secondary GLAD program will be ready for implementation?
So according to the Orange County Department, they are not rolling out like anyone come workshops until next year, but they are willing to come and do a cadre of our own teachers here in the district for us, at the secondary level at this time. So if we wanted to do a cohort this spring, they would come and do it. The training is ready, but they're not rolling it out to the general public as part of their course offerings until next fall.
I thought San Diego County offered to do that for us.
San Diego County does not have secondary trainers, and they don't have a secondary specific training. So this, like we have now with our early childhood, that's very specific. This is a very specific single subject secondary training that has been developed with secondary teachers.
And do you have any testimony from any of the secondary teachers that they prefer this over elevation?
I do not.
Okay. Okay, thank you so much for answering all my questions.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else have questions? Comments? I do. Regarding our secondary schools, is there a school or more than one that has demonstrated success in reclassifying long-term English language learners? In Vista Unified.
We will look into that.
All of our schools have done well with long-term English language learners, but we still have a large percentage of them. We can bring you a report on that so you can see it. I'll just give you one example. Some of the success we've had with our long-term English learners, many of them are the ones that graduate with the seal of biliteracy and they get through it, but we can bring you a report on that.
Well, I guess I'm wondering, I mean, I'm a second language learner myself. I'm also a B-class teacher. I've never taught in secondary, so I don't have that perspective. But looking at some of, what GLAD does, and Elevate probably does the same thing. I'm not familiar with it. Is like valuing a student's primary language, allowing them the situations or the circumstances where they're negotiating language with a partner and that the anxiety is reduced. So then they're more engaged because they're not embarrassed of saying something the wrong way in front of their peers. Allowing them to show their learning in a visual way instead of just in a using oral speech, and negotiate. Just again, are the learning logs with a partner? Are they individual? How are the learning logs completed?
The learning logs are individual, but then they could be followed up to share with a partner to expand thinking.
And I guess the question about the second long-term English language learners, when we look at our schools, and a lot of schools made great growth in English language arts, but we had a lot of work to do with our long-term English language learners. And so I'd just be curious how, if we do have a school that has a little bit more success than maybe the other secondary schools, just to kind of see what their practices are. And really, learn from those educators. If they reclassify kids quicker than other places, and maybe we should also look at our educators to see what they're doing here.
That's one of our board metrics. So you will actually get a report on reclassification rates coming up soon.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions, comments? No? Thank you, Ms. Hill.
Thank you very much.
Next is Vita Instructional Program Courses.
Thank you so much for being here, Damon.
Thank you.
Hi, Damon.
Hi, Damon.
Hello, everyone. Do I need to press the button underneath here?
I think it's good. I think you're
Yeah,
good.
good. I won't touch it. Okay. Hello, board trustees. Nice to see you. Dr. Doyle, nice to see you as well. Okay, I'm Damon Patterson, the principal at Vita. I'm here to tell you about our program this evening. So I did include our vision here and our mission here at Vita, just really to provide a variety of experiences and knowledge for our students in middle school. We know it's a time of a lot of change. I also provided just a little bit of background. I know Trustee Markoff is new to the position, so that was just some information on us being a magnet school. So it's an application-based school. We have approximately 700 or more applications each year for about 300 spots. So we do have a waiting list. It was opened, we had our 10th anniversary last year. So 2024 was our 10-year celebration. We are a middle school in California, so we have the normal regular academic program that we provide, but we also have a lot of different exciting opportunities for our students at Vita. Vita is a design school, so we use the design thinking process, and we use human-centered design. So we focus a lot on empathy and creating things specifically for people to fit their needs. And we always design with our user in mind. You can see the little graphic there. That's different aspects of the design thinking process that we use in all aspects of our curriculum. And just another little chart there kind of shows us some of the cycles that we go through. We use these in our design labs, we use them in our electives, we use them in our core classes as well. Not necessarily all of them every single time. For instance, history, we would maybe look at a ancient civilization, and we might start looking at discovery and finding out different aspects of that civilization, but really the basis of what we do at Vita. And our users, as we go through our relocation process, we see our students, our staff and community, and we've been in constant communication with all of those stakeholders recently to collect input get ideas and really just include everyone in the design of Vita as we move to our new location. This chart right here, I present this to parents when we're there. Dr. Shigela used to say, you know, dads love this chart because it's real structured and they can see what's going on here, but it kind of outlines what we do. So we do have, like I mentioned earlier, our core academic program, so math, science, ELA, and history. That includes PE as well. And we'll get a little bit more into our other aspects, design labs and rotations, but we do use a lot of collaboration with students. We do teach them how to collaborate. Our industry partners out there say they struggle sometimes with teamwork with adults with their groups. So it's something good to get started in middle school to have that teamwork framework for our students. We do a lot of design, project-based learning. We like to say we're more project-based than not. So a lot of hands-on things, a lot of engagement. You can see that reflected in our IntelliSpark scores, which come back twice a year. We have high level of engagement from the students. We had, I think, a 99% for engagement levels on the student survey this past administration of the survey. Dr. Doyle is now showing us some examples of recent design labs. So we do have a class that the students receive every single day. It's called the Design Lab, and that is where we want to engage the students in something that they're interested in. So it's based on our teacher passion, something that they've always wanted to teach. And then we give and these kind of go in and out. We give a list of students every semester, so they'll take 2 design labs per year, and they get to choose their top 3 that they're interested in. And we want to provide a scope of experiences and knowledge that they can gain to get that, try out new things, but also to start establishing things that they're interested in based on their strengths. So these do go in and out each year. Sorry about that. The next one is part of our trying to provide as much choice and student voice as possible. So we do provide electives as well. We have 23 electives running right now in our current schedule. Those are year-long courses that they take. A lot of them are similar to what you'll see with high school offerings. We have marine biology, we have theater, we have choir, and really similar to what you would see at the high schools. We currently have 3 types of PE at Vita. We call more traditional PE wellness PE. We really focus on wellness at PE, just mind and body. We also have our dance PE, which started as a design lab, but it was so popular and so many students were interested in it, it became a regular PE class, which is great. And we've recently taken trips to the high schools, and a lot of them have dance teams. And it's a good pathway for our students that are interested in that. This year, we also offer aquatics PE at our current site. Rotations are probably my favorite part of Vita, and that is because we want them to gain specific skills as they go through the program. And within their design labs, they do 2 rotations each year. The rotations are anywhere from a week to 2 weeks. And I think the next slide is going to give us a breakdown of those different opportunities that we have. So we had a big group of people come up onto the campus the other day for a tour. We talk about public speaking with them and how their middle schooler will each year, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, be trained by an expert teacher in public speaking, which is really a big one. We kind of joke a little bit like middle school's hard already. Let's just throw that on top of there because most Americans do want to speak publicly in front of people. It's one of the biggest fears out there. So they really do a great job. We actually next month have our COLs, which are celebrations of learning. It's how we do parent conferences. And we have little 6th graders up there, look like they're still in elementary school, and they're standing up there poised, good voice, eye contact, all those different things. And they're in the same room as an 8th grader. And they have other families in there. So it's a really authentic experience for them to get up and speak in front of people. So that's for each student every single year that they're up, all 3 years. And then we break it down by grade level for our rotations too. So we have what we call the design studio. So that's when they start to learn the 6 aspects of the, 6 dimensions of product design. And they will go through our design studio. They'll learn how to measure. They'll learn how to score cardboard. They'll create different projects. We have a shield project and then a top hat project that they do. And that's going to start to build some of those technical skills we want them to have as they move into the next levels. 7th grade, they'll go through a rotation in our Qualcomm Think a Bit lab. So there's 3 Think a Bit labs in the county. We're the North County one. There's a South County and Mid County as well. It's a great partner of ours. We're in contact with them a lot. They've recently given us some donations of laptop computers and a little bit of a monetary donation on top of what they've done. So they contact us like, hey, we have some extra bucks that we want to throw into the program. So all of our seventh graders get to go through the Think a Bit Lab. We call it robo crafting because at Vita we're a design school, but we do focus on STEM and the arts, and that's kind of the combination of the two. So they make something that's functional and technical, but that also looks good at the same time. And then all eighth graders go through our laser lab. So they'll use their laser cutter to create things. They also go through an entrepreneurship rotation, so they learn how to do value creation, which could be social value, it could be economic value. So they're trained in several different things, and it's part of what we want, the breadth of knowledge for them as they go through the Vita program. Another great aspect of Vita is our drama program. So we have a good sized drama program. We have a wonderful black box theater there. It's a very popular place to go on event nights. This is a TML, so it's called Too Much Light, but it's basically the students trying to do 30 short plays within 60 minutes, and there's a timer there going, and they're going through the plays, they're running up on stage, a lot of excitement. We get a lot of alumni that come to, and even portion of it, the alumni challenge the current students. So that's like a competition within a competition there. So we do have Matilda Junior coming up this spring. So if you're available, we'll have it on our website. We'd love to see you there. But they do a wonderful job with that. It's a very popular program for us. And there, I should have put a picture of myself on there, but like I said, we have our users that we're looking at. So we're looking at our students, our staff, our community. And this was a trip we took for a student forum. So we had a small group of 6th and 7th graders, some Vita Sharks there. You can see them with their clipboards on the picture on the right. But we went to the new campus, and basically we had them write down things that they liked, things that they were worried about, and then any questions that they had. So just kind of funny, we're about to go in the front door in the picture on the left there, and we walk in, and one of the students, I forget who it was, but says, "It smells good in here." So that was like the first comment that we got. It was positive. It was a really good experience. They were excited to be there. We even had a student make a comment of he wanted to teach there. So it was a very positive experience, and we'll continue to do those. We have one planned each month for staff, for students, and then for the community as well. Just a couple quotes. I already said the smells good one, but whiteboards are big and really clean. They love it. Had some flexible seating, so some high top tables with orange stools, and they really loved it. And like I said, part of that was the excitement of going over there and being some of the first students to be on campus. So they're also excited about the sinks working in the science rooms and several sinks in the science rooms. Like I said, the student wanted to be a teacher there, so hopefully we'll have a shark in the future, maybe teaching for Vista Unified. They did say the classrooms needed some color. This is white on white on white. And if you know Vita, there's a lot of color, a lot of murals and things that are there to really make the campus feel like home and have some of those design elements there too. So they're excited about the layout as well. Needed more signs anytime we're on a new campus. And I know when I first started at Vita last year, it took me, a couple months to know where everything was, all the classrooms. So that's more of just going through and getting some instruction through registration process tours and things like that. On January 7th, we did professional development with our staff. We call them our staffalty, but this is a picture of them right there. That is a yellow school bus. It was a wonderful trip. We called it Air Vita. So we're trying to make some excitement. So I had a captain's hat on, and my assistant principal, Curry Turner, who was a wonderful person, is handing out almonds, cashews, little bags of peanuts. We're bringing the staff on board.
They actually dressed up. He's
We
not telling you.
dressed up. I didn't put that picture on there. I stayed away from that one, but it was an exciting time. We actually took the bus out of a necessity. There was some parking, not available parking because there's also some other PD going, but it worked out great. Everybody had a good time. Even the bus ride back, we had a good time, but it was an opportunity for teachers that haven't been on the campus to get on the campus. We did basically exploration or the discovery part of the design process. When we got there, we didn't want to hold them back. So they got off the bus, went out into the campus. We had different areas that they were looking for, kind of like a treasure hunt style. But we had them writing comments, taking selfies with Polaroids and posting them in different areas. But the comments were for getting data on what they thought the different spaces should either be named or what we could use them for, because we're looking outside the box. Just because a building has a sign on it that says it's a certain area doesn't mean that that's the way that we're gonna utilize it. So we wanted to get information from them. So did a little round trip on Air Vita. We also gave them an envelope that had a card in it and had their tentative classroom assignment. So that was fun for everybody. Everybody got their own classroom. We had a teacher who taught at Rancho Minerva, is now with us at Vita, and we're going to return. She had tears in her eyes, and I was like, oh no, this is not good. But she said there were tears of joy. So that was good because she had gotten one of the classrooms that she had worked in previously. So she was excited about that. Community forums, we're encouraging all families to attend those. We have one coming up on February 18th, and we're rotating back and forth from 740 Olive Avenue and 2245 Foothill Drive. The next one in February will be back at 740 Olive Avenue. So what we did in the initial one is we had different elements that we wanted to talk about. So elements for Vita are creative design elements, events. We have a lot of big events, whether it's a musical, our big expo in the spring. We also have a talent show that's just a huge blowout and it's a lot of fun. Flexible elements and then also equipment needs. So the next couple slides, this is a Wordle right here. So we basically had everybody write down what they were thinking on different Post-it notes, and then we transcribed all of the information, put it into a Wordle, which basically all the words that you see that are larger means that they were used more often. So you can see things like lab and theater and space and stage, and those were the creative design elements. For event elements, some of the things people were thinking were design expo. You can see it right in the middle there. Events is big. Lighting, parking was another big one there too. And like I said, we have a lot of big events, a lot of community events at Vita that we're going to be preparing for. Flexible elements were outdoor spaces. The board did this a few years ago, but there's a lot of shade out on the campus.
They love the shade.
They love the shade. There's outdoor classroom spaces, which we already do that at Vita, but this are areas that are large. There can be more than one class out there. They have the shade, which is really important, especially when we get in those fall and spring months there. You can see transportation in the middle. That's probably the biggest question that we get for the relocation is, will there be transportation? And storage was another one too, but a lot of outdoor spaces, a lot of excitement around that. And then equipment needs. So we have a lot of different equipment that we use at Vita. I mentioned earlier our laser lab. So we have an industrial laser cutter there. We have sports, we have dance studio, we have performances, we have our theater. So we also use outdoor spaces for some of our events as well. But these are some of our equipment needs, which like I mentioned, Qualcomm is giving us some laptops, things like that. So we're constantly updating to supply our different design labs, our electives, and also our regular academic courses too.
That's it. How about your little video?
That's the video. We don't have to watch that right now. It's on our website though. It's brand new for.
You get the rest later.
Yeah, okay,
That's it.
okay, thank you. Any questions? Go ahead, go for it.
Is Vita gonna be bringing their specialized furniture from the old campus to the new campus?
I think that's one of our options that we have. We also are going to be ordering new furniture, and I think we're next in line along with VMMS for that too. But we've been working with business services, and that is definitely an option to do that. The furniture that's there, we had a lot of kids say, I love it. And I don't know if that was the excitement of being there, but that was a popular item there. But we are scheduled to receive new furniture.
Any other questions? Sorry.
Thank you, Ken. So first, we did put aside the budget for middle schools for furniture. So Vita has a budget and they are in line cycle as Crystal has indicated. And they'll have that option. What we've shared with Vita because of the design thinking nature of the school is a lot of this is a collaborative process that they're thinking through. They have 3 options on the table for them right now. They can take the RMMS furniture that was left there as a complete set. If they don't want that furniture, it will be repurposed for other spaces in the district. They can take furniture with them, or they also have the option to look at additional or new furniture items, and all of that's currently budgeted for the site.
You mentioned a laser at the old site. I'm assuming that will be transferred to the new site.
Yes, it will. And we have professional movers, quarter bands gonna be doing the moving, and they move big items for big corporations. And yes, that will be coming along with us.
And lastly, with your discussions with the staff and with the community, what do you anticipate that their needs are going to be?
Well, Vita's been a very popular program for a while. I think their needs are gonna be that they want the program to continue as it has been, as an engaging place that has a lot of applications that come in and has a wait list. We do each year, the structure and the schedule will stay the same, but we do sometimes rotate design labs and offer new ones based on student interest. And like I mentioned before, a student passion too. Getting a lot of questions about computer science from some of our elementary families that are coming through on the tours. Casita sticks out to me. I got more questions, I think, from students that now attend Casita that are looking to apply to the middle schools. Yesterday, I received an email from Amazon Future Engineers for 2 courses through Project STEM that they're going to provide a sponsorship for us. So we're looking at a computer science introduction to Scratch, computer science 1, introduction to Scratch. And then there's a secondary course for the 7th grade level, which is AI and computer science, and it was developed by MIT. So we have some things in the mix right now that are meeting those needs. But I would say to have just a lot of different opportunities and the student choice, I think, is what I'm hearing from everybody. And that's something that we plan to maintain.
So adding, that's great. What do you anticipate losing by moving to the new site? Programs, what are you going to lose?
That's a great question. The only program I anticipate losing is the aquatics PE program. And that's because there's not a pool at the new site. Yeah, everything else will continue as is.
Okay, thank you.
Do you mind, could you just elaborate a little bit about what you mentioned about the Amazon, what was that again?
Yeah, we had an opportunity to apply for its Amazon Future Engineer. So it's sponsored by Amazon, and they work in coordination with a group called Project STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And they have some computer science courses that they have the resources, they have the materials, they have the slide deck, they have 10 hours of training for any teacher that's going to be offering that. It's also, and we were there today on an 8th grade field trip. Vista High School has a robust computer science program, and it creates a nice pathway for some of those students to get some of the basic foundational skills in middle school. This is specific to middle school. They do have high school as well. But we're looking at that for some of our 6th graders as we kind of, move forward. So the structure of our schedule, master schedule, would be the same, but sometimes we change just based on like the interest that we're hearing from the elementary families.
And did you also, my ears perked up, is Qualcomm donating laptops?
Yeah, recently, we have a donation. We haven't got them yet, but we need to go through the process. They're gonna provide 40 laptops, so they contact us, and we do each summer a week-long Qualcomm camp with them. They want the students to do what they call robo crafting. So that's what I talked about, the combination of the technology and the arts coming together. The recent donation, I can't remember the exact amount, it was a couple $1,000s that we're working on to have them donate, put back into our program, whether it's new materials. We have Mr. Ruiz, who's a expert teacher that runs our Think a Bit lab, and they've been a great partner for several years.
Yeah, very nice, very nice.
Anyone else?
Yes, David, one of the things I asked in previous meetings was around transportation. Can you talk, and I see this, community feedback, but how are we thinking about transportation?
I know anything having to do with money and things like that's gonna be ultimately a board decision. The feedback that I'm getting from families is that transportation would be a good thing because of their location or current location, and providing something that will help them streamline. There's a lot of family dynamics involved, and some families have multiple drop-offs. It could impact getting around town for that.
Yeah, Dr. Don't also read any consensus, but, if we can get a plan for that.
Yeah.
So that we can consider in the budget adoption.
Yeah, so our thinking was that we would bring it back to you in March, when the application process closes and we have a general idea of kind of where the population is. We'll do like a heat map of student interest and you guys would be more prepared to have a conversation about how many routes are we talking about. So Dr. Loser and I we'll be working with Damon to bring that forward to you.
Great. Another question is around sports. I know that the field factor and correctly don't have the lighting. Is that something also that we can consider, or is there lighting in my thinking of that? Because I'm thinking like, 5 o'clock gets dark, and so with the, both for student safety, but also for making sure that we utilize the field to the best extent that we can, if there were lighting.
Yeah, so you're accurate. The current field doesn't have lighting, and Damon could certainly talk to you about his current schedules and what happens there. So there are specific community requirements before you can install permanent lighting on a field, including community engagement and working with the city on those items. We can explore options such as temporary lighting structures and other structures, which we do put on various fields, depending upon what the needs are. Temporary lighting do not have the same sort of structure. Larger lighting projects do require an aspect of community engagement and working with the city on those, because you do have neighbors around that, and you have particular environmental factors, including things that are called light pollution, where light spills over on them. So that would be a longer term issue to address. And the principal could address what they do now and their general schedule for that.
Typically with sports, the fall sports and the spring sports are outdoors, so we have soccer in the fall for girls, and then we'll have soccer in the spring for boys. Basketball, winter sport, when it gets darker earlier, is what we do during the winter time. So we haven't had a real impact as far as lighting goes. For at least for middle school, our games will start earlier. Football for high school is going to start at 7 p.m. on a Friday night. So it hasn't had a huge impact on sports. We don't have to cancel games. It's kind of planned out through the Boys and Girls Club in coordination with us on what's being offered, and we haven't had an issue with that.
Got it. 2 more items, next is around, the beautification of the campus. I heard, people I think the youth want to see more murals, so let's try and explore that. So that's just more kind of feedback. And then lastly, are we, in addition to furniture, any other equipment, are we taking back the HVAC units to Rancho Minerva?
I'm not sure about the HVAC situation there. I know Dr. Lusher is probably a little more well versed.
Yeah, the HVAC units at Rancho Minerva are well positioned the way they are. There's nothing to be removed out of the current Vita campus at this time that would accompany them for HVAC to Rancho Minerva. But with every site, depending upon what this board, because we do need to engage in a conversation with the school moving about what will be the long-range plan for this other site. And that will help us determine the best way to approach what to do with the existing equipment that's there, and how do we move forward on that. We do have a process that we do repurpose certain HVAC items whenever we do things. If it can be repurposed, we will, but many of the items at Vita are slated for decommissioning versus holding over because of their age.
Thank you.
I want to backtrack on transportation. It's my understanding that we do not use busing for magnet schools. Is that not true?
That's not wholeheartedly accurate. We do have a few established routes for Mission Vista High School, which is considered magnet, but we do not have for middle or elementary school busing routes at this time outside of special education routes.
The Mission Vista was because of the 76. It was a safety issue.
It was correct. That was seen to be a safety issue. It was also the line of transportation, meaning the length of the transportation and where the school was situated. So it was, you cross not just the Highway 76, you went across multiple train lines and other items that would have been factors.
I'm seeing that this is going to become costlier and costlier with transportation, with equipment, with lighting. Do we have an overall budget for the transformation of the RMMS to Vita?
Well, we would need to define things in different categories in order to do that. The first would be the board would need to make a decision about transportation and whether it is a temporary transportation situation or an ongoing transportation situation. Sometimes boards choose to say during a transition process, we'll provide transportation for a few years. For example, when we looked at a process of school consolidation, when it came to magnet schools, students got a temporary change in the magnet school protocols for a few years during that process. It wasn't a permanent change. So in order to give you a cost estimate, first we need to know, is it the board's plan within the budget to provide transportation? If so, is that permanent and ongoing or for a 2 or 3 year cycle? The other is we need to have an architect in place, which we received this evening, to contemplate the various options that are there. The estimate, though, for the long term for moving the school onto the site is that it will be significantly less over time to have the school at this location due to the condition of this facility versus the condition of the current location. So we can provide all of those cost comparisons for you, but we do need some more information about the plans over the next 2 to 5 years, so we know what those transportation plans are on otherwise.
Anyone? I'm done. Okay, anyone else?
Regarding the heat maps, as far as where students live now, I'd be interested in comparing, say, the distance from where from the current location to where they live, right? Whether it's 2 or 3 miles, and what it would be from the new physical location.
Yeah, we've done that before. We'll put those together. We'll put together the current heat maps for where the students are going, and then the projected heat map.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so, couple things I'm looking at this, equipment needs that, I forget what Wordle, or I'm not sure what that's called. I know. One of the things like, stage and theater, you know, I mean, the theater goes along with it, you have that nice picture of your theater. Are there any plans to put in a similar theater at the new location?
We've been what we call ideating in the design thinking process. We do have 2 movable stages that we already have at our current site that can be moved over to the new site. I'm working with the team, the drama teacher, figuring out things. We're gonna be in contact with the architect now that that's approved. And we have a lot of ideas. I think that's what we want to do. We always say to have a good idea, we need to have a lot of ideas. So we're going through that process right now. But I think we've identified a spot that could happen.
Okay, thank you. And then you mentioned basketball, and I'm not sure I recall seeing basketball. Is there a basketball court in?
Huge gyms.
Huge gym,
Yeah.
okay,
It's
all right,
actually bigger than.
Yeah, the gym is actually significantly larger with more courts available.
okay, all right, thank you. And then finally, I'm just wondering if your Qualcomm Santas could maybe deliver a pool. Is it possible that we could ask for a pool?
We can ask. They focus on robo-crafting. I don't know if they're in the
Well,
aquatics business.
maybe,
but
maybe a
it doesn't hurt to
robot that
ask,
can
right?
build a pool?
Maybe we can get that 7th grade AI class.
There you
Create some,
go, and maybe, yeah,
get some
get
kids to do that.
Amazon involved in that too,
Yeah.
build our own.
We're always looking for funding sources and with the Amazon, it's a sponsorship, so we don't get grant money with it, but they do provide all the resources and things and Qualcomm, you know, we'll throw it up there.
Okay, thanks. Okay, any further questions or comments? Okay, with that, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much.
And we're going to move on, we're coming to the tail end of our meeting. Yes, and then we gotta go back to closed session, so I'm trying to get us out of here quickly. Okay, so request for future board agenda items, anybody have?
Yeah, so earlier with the GLAD secondary presentation, I was thinking about best practices that we might have, you know, in Vista Unified at secondary schools. And so I wanted to know if there was any school that had like a higher percentage of reclassification, but after thinking about that, that's important, but maybe the school with the most LP growth, which is English Language Proficiency Indicator, it estimates if a child will be able to be reclassified. So, you know, students who are learning that English as a second language have to make a certain amount of growth. And so it'd be good to see what's happening in our district and just learn if we have good and bright spots and success with some of our educators, to also really lean on them as well, because this secondary training won't be available until the fall. And so I think it's worth, exploring. Let's look at our LP growth at the secondary level, please.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? Go.
I like what she's saying.
Okay. Anyone else have anything else for the agenda?
I believe we need to bring up a conversation of the A through G requirements for all high school graduation candidates, and also the impact that could have on our students.
Okay. A through G requirements.
Do you want that as a report or just information?
A report.
We can do that.
And I have something, I am thinking that, because we have two new board members, and to give us a jump start on your, superintendent, evaluation, I would think that I'd like to begin maybe a midterm superintendent review, mainly just more as a means to have our new board members familiarize themselves with the process and what it entails. So,
You and I can talk about that.
yeah, well, I'm just thinking for the next closed session, we could put that on the agenda, midterm, superintendent review. Okay, moving on, anything else? No, moving on, board member reports out or comments. Let's start, trustee Alvarado, we'll start with you.
I've been busy, but I think I forgot some of the things that I've done, but this week, I was able to attend a gun violence kind of town hall at RBV with Vista Community Clinic, people from the county, partners at Palomar Hospital from the trauma center, to really try to listen and brainstorm on what we can do to reduce gun violence. And it's a series of 2 or 3, so this was the first, but it was good to hear from our youth and also our community partners on what they're seeing at the hospitals. I attended the Boys and Girls Award Clubs, and they recognized so many of our students. I asked one of the employees from the Boys and Girls Club to send me the photo because we were all in it, but she must have forgotten, so I'm so sorry. But it was great. We have such great student leaders in our school district, from a TK student all the way up to high school students. They're amazing. I went to the San Diego Clippers game. We saw our fantastic JRTC present the colors. I attended the Superintendent's Council for Equity and Anti-Racism. We attended a gala for the National Electrical Contractors Association as well. And those are some that I remember, but I forgot the rest.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Vargas?
Yep, got to visit Vita campus, so thank you, Sean and Dr. Dill for the tour, and with the, getting the assessment of the needs at that site. Following that, we visited Bover, so continue to see the progress there. Ran into a couple of our friends from the Carpenters Union. Also, attended the RVB gun listening session with the County of San Diego and Tristan Alvarado. So a lot of great conversations. And students that have ideas of how to be proactive. A couple points of feedback from students, website's difficult to navigate. I know we upgraded it and, did work to, make it more user friendly, but they're struggling with that. And also, as far as communication, figuring out other ways, because what we're hearing is that, the emails are reaching a certain pocket, but some of their parents, are not used to, viewing the emails and may direct it to via that route. We're tapping into the individual emails from the campuses themselves. And so you have, great students, student leaders there with the Vista Community Clinic Reach program. So Dr. Dill, let's try and visit them and, get to hear more feedback from them. Additionally, visited, the Shrek performance over at the Leadership Academy. Shout out to Kim Warren and her staff and the team that put that together. So you all missed a phenomenal performance. I had a phenomenal time, good laughs, but seeing the talent from our youth. And lastly, attended the VAPA Winter International Festival last Friday. Once again, celebrating the different cultures of our students. So shout out to all the classes that participated, and I got to demonstrate, different performances. And one of the things, celebrate, the culture of our students.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Marco?
I had the opportunity to go to the Vista Chamber of Commerce State of the City address, and that was pretty neat to see all the things that go on. I also got a tour of the future Vita campus, also Vista High School, and just kind of, saw the buildings and the ROTC and walked the campus, and so that was my activities.
Thank you, trustee Martin.
I attended the bargaining session, sat in on that last month for the first time. There's another one tomorrow morning. If anybody wants to just come back really early tomorrow. Oh, Rachel, yeah, see you then. I had the opportunity to observe DLAC. That was very interesting and very informative. It was at DLAC where the A through G conversation came up, which is why I thought we should bring it forward here. And BPAC, a very active group and also very organized. And it was very interesting. And thank you, Trustee Alvarado, the JROTC ground navigation was there. And when he mentioned it, I said, I want to go up in the plane. And he said, oh, Trustee Alvarado wants to go too. So I'm taking your spot. Just so you know. And I think that's among a million other things, but those were the highlights. Thank you.
Thank you. And I got sidelined by a very bad cold, so I didn't do a lot of the fun stuff. I did go to the Clippers game though. So, and saw our junior ROTC present the colors, which was very cool, and it was very fun. I loved the game, but then not too long after that, I got sick, and so I didn't do a lot of board prep. Yeah, it's basically that. So
I forgot to mention that I was able to stop by Grapevine Elementary as they hosted the county for the community school consortium. They had people from all across the county of San Diego. They had a student panel that was just phenomenal, and then a parent panel. So that was a bonus for me.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Okay, moving on. Board member reflections on board meeting. Anybody have any reflections? Okay, our next regular board meeting will be Thursday, March 6th. And with that, I'm going to adjourn open session at 9:52 p.m. And we are going to go back into closed session to finish one hopefully quick, open session.